At Ring Central Coliseum in Oakland, California. Welcome to this presentation of New York Mets baseball on Pix 11. Today, the Mets play the Oakland Athletics. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Fresh Direct, the freshest and best groceries for the food obsessed, delivered right to your door. By Spectrum, switch and save up to 60%. Visit SpectrumMobile.com. By Burns and Harris, suffered pain? You need law. Call 800-PAIN-LAW. And by your local Chevy dealers, visit ChevyOffers.com. Well, it's been a sparkling weekend in the East Bay. Mets visiting Oakland for the first time in 8 years. Things didn't go so well on the field for the Mets at the Oakland Coliseum yesterday. But boy, the smells in the parking lot are just tremendous. The tailgaters are out in force today. The brats, the dogs, they're all on the grill waiting to go. Crowd getting ready. It's a big game for the Mets today in Oakland. 9 games to play in the regular season. The Mets hold a game-and-a-half lead over the Braves in the National League East. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Oakland. I'm Gary Cohen with Ron Darling. Mets play a rubber game of a 3-game series against the A's. Pennant race craziness beginning now with a week and a half to go. The Phillies and Braves are playing right now. They're in a rain delay. Bottom of the 5th. They have an official game. Phillies just took the lead 6-5 before the rain. And now the umpires in Major League Baseball are going to have to figure that whole thing out.
Boy, it was a crazy game. I mean, 11 runs scored. Both starting pitchers were still in the game. It's one of the worst rain delays I've ever seen. They probably won't start for quite some time.
And next week, the Mets are in Atlanta with a hurricane bearing down. Meanwhile, the Mets are finishing up their series in Oakland, trying to bounce back from a rare bad start by Jacob deGrom, and Max Scherzer will try and clean it up.
You know, Gary, every single time they've asked Max to go the extra mile, he has. Probably only throw 80-plus pitches today, but coming off his 200th win, 6 perfect innings where he struck out 9.
He was very aggressive that last start against a very patient Brewers team. Threw his fastball a lot. Does he have a different game plan against a younger, more aggressive Oakland team?
I think Gary's going to be about the same game plan. You really want to throw the ball down in the strike zone here, get him to hit the ball on the ground. Chris Bassett did that on game 1.
So the Mets will try and take the rubber game of this 3-game series. Buck Showalter said before the game Edwin Diaz will be available for multiple innings if needed. It's the Mets and the A's coming up from Oakland. All the action coming your way today on Pix 11. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Premier Home Health Care. Hiring new home health aides now. Call 866-61-PREMIER. By Moderna, make it yours. By 800 Got Junk. We make junk disappear. All you have to do is point. And by your local Ford stores. Mets return home Tuesday to face the Marlins for 2 games. Get your tickets at Mets.com/tickets. Mets lineup brought to you by Stop and Shop Feed the Moment. Tyler Naquin getting a rare start against a left-hander. Mets needed to get a real outfielder out there after Darren Ruff struggled in right field yesterday. Pete Alonso will DH today with Ruff playing first base. Luis Guillorme out after getting hit on the arm yesterday, but he is available. And there's the A's rookie left-hander J.P. Sears.
See his numbers so far, split between the Yankees, where he mostly relieved, although he had a couple of starts, and now he's been put in the rotation with the Oakland team. The A's defense brought to you by your local Ford dealers. Sean Murphy now has caught the most games this season behind the plate, 111. And their shortstop today, Ernie Clement, they got from Cleveland, hadn't started at shortstop all year. Seth Brown has had a nice offensive series, as has Connor Capel.
The A's had an amazing defensive day yesterday in their 10-4 win. First, the 6-4-3 double play. Allen and Diaz turning it over. Then Connor Capel with that diving grab in foul territory against Alonso. Then Vimael Machin going the other way into the vast foul territory to catch that pop-up. Tony Kemp with a brilliant play. And then Jeff McNeil's drive caught by Allen. It was a great defensive day all around for the A's as they won the game 10-4. Capel also had a great offensive day as well in just his 4th start for the A's after coming over from St. Louis. So they got a lot of pieces coming from different places. Clement making his A's debut today. Sears, who came over from the Yankees in the Frankie Montas trade. Capel, who they picked up on waivers from the Cardinals. The A's able to put it together yesterday. Mets trying to take it apart today in the rubber game of this series. The Mets are 17-4 in rubber games this season. Brandon Nimmo had the day off yesterday just to be cautious after playing a night game the night before. Had 2 hits and 2 RBIs in the game Friday night after coming back from a quad tweak on Wednesday. Sears' first pitch is a fastball upstairs for ball 1, and we're underway. Brandon starts the day 8th in the National League in on-base percentage at .361. 5th in the league in runs scored with 94. He leads the team. And he takes inside 2-0. Beautiful sunshiny day. It's much cooler than yesterday. It's only 67 degrees at game time. A little breeze blowing across the field. But the marine layer, which is what they call clouds in California, has burned off. Not allowed to have clouds on the West Coast.
Don't make fun of the Californians, Gary.
At every opportunity on the inside corner of strike, and it's 2-1.
You know what's interesting about Sears? The Yankees had 2 pitchers from Sumter, South Carolina, Jordan Montgomery and J.P. Sears. Sears is in Oakland, Montgomery's in St. Louis.
Sears stayed in the state of South Carolina to go to college at the Citadel. Not too many big leaguers have made it from there. And Nimmo takes a slider for a strike, and it's 2-2.
He's not going to overpower you. He's got a fastball in the low 90s, a little slider, which is his second best pitch, and a changeup that he's still a work in progress.
He made 2 starts and 7 overall appearances for the Yankees before the trade. This is now his 9th start for Oakland, and his best one might have been his last one against Seattle. He allowed just 1 hit over 5 innings and no earned runs. And the fastball up and away and a full count to Nimmo. Mark Canha on deck, and then Francisco Lindor.
Only gave up 1 hit in those 5 innings against the Mariners.
Started out in the Mariners organization. 11th round pick in 2017. Traded to the Yankees for Nick Rumbelow, who spent a little time in the Mets organization a few years ago. 3-2 to Nimmo leading off. And Brandon takes strike 3 call. Fastball on the outside corner, and Sears has a strikeout to start the day. Themes of the game brought to you by your Tri-State BMW centers.
Well, before there was "You Can't Touch This," MC Hammer was a bat boy for these Oakland A's. The Bash brothers, look at the season they're having RBI-wise. And as far as Moneyball with McNeil, my parents always told me not to talk about money.
Can you talk about batting average, or are we not allowed to talk about that anymore either?
No.
Here's Mark Canha. The former Athletic has gone 3 for 8 in this series. He's now reached base safely in 18 straight games. And Sears catches the outside edge with his slider, and it's 0-1. Mets have 3 of the top 8 in the National League in on-base percentage. McNeil is 4th, Canha's 5th, Nimmo is 8th. Mets as a team are 2nd in the National League in on-base percentage. It's what fuels their offense. And Canha pops one up into shallow right. Diaz out. In comes Capel, and Capel, looking through the sunglasses, makes the catch. It was not easy playing the outfield yesterday. It won't be easy today. The sun in this ballpark, for some reason, plays differently than it does anywhere else.
It really, like, it kind of vibrates off the seats and casts this. It seems brighter than even it is.
We saw a rough struggle in right field yesterday. We saw McNeil fall down in left. We saw Christian Pache for the A's lose a ball in the sun. And there's plenty of sunshine to be had today. 2 out and nobody on. Here's Francisco Lindor, 3 for 8 in this series. Now has a 10-game hitting streak as he continues his marvelous year. Picked up his 100th career RBI yesterday. First time in his career he's reached that milestone. Giving the Mets teammates with 100 RBIs for the first time since 2008. Three on the left side against Lindor, batting right-handed. And he gets a slider and pops it up. Lots of room in foul ground for Garcia to make the catch and end the inning. Mets go 1-2-3. Max Scherzer takes the mound when we come back. Health, pretty much the same lineup as yesterday, other than the 9-hitter Ernie Clement makes his A's debut, bats ninth and plays shortstop. Sean Murphy and Shea Langoliers switch spots, catcher and DH. Max Scherzer has not allowed a base runner since coming off the injured list.
Doesn't get much better than his line against Milwaukee. And in watching the game, I was not with you guys in Milwaukee. He really had the Milwaukee hitters on a seesaw between that fastball and slider. And his ability to have that slider literally on a string off his fingers and placing that on the outside corner was as good as I've seen him all season long with that pitch.
Threw a higher percentage of fastballs than he had in any start this year, knowing that he had a limited leash. Tony Kemp leads off and takes low and in with a fastball for ball one. Scherzer threw 68 pitches in those 6 innings. As Buck Showalter said, he reached his innings limit before he reached his pitch limit. And he misses away to Kemp, and it's 2-0.
The up-downs got him, Gary.
9 strikeouts and of course no walks, 18 up and 18 down in those 6 innings for his 200th career win. And he quickly falls behind the leadoff hitter Kemp, 3-0. Yesterday in the first inning, Jacob deGrom walked a couple, gave up 4 runs in the first inning for the first time in his career. Scherzer trying to avoid a similar fate today, behind 3-0 on Kemp, and pours in his first strike. Kemp looking for his first hit in this series. He's gone 0 for 8. Vimael Machin and Sean Murphy to follow. He's wrapped out 14 hits yesterday against 6 Met pitchers, and only Tyler McGill was spared, and he only threw 2 pitches. Kemp lines one to right, and Naquin moves over in front of it to make the catch. That is why Naquin is in right field today.
It's Mets defense brought to you by your local Honda dealers, who had Tomas Nido now starting his 82nd game of the season, more than half of them. That's a pretty great accomplishment for Tomas. And in the outfield, it's nice to see Brandon Nimmo back out there. Naquin's going to be in right field. Rupp had a tough day. Nimmo now has appeared in 141 of the Mets' 154 games.
Vimael Machin had a really nice day yesterday. He was on base 4 times, and today is his 29th birthday. And Machin takes a fastball in the corner for a strike, 0-1. Machin also made a brilliant catch in foul territory amongst those hassle of terrific defensive plays that the A's made yesterday. Machin's in his 3rd year with Oakland out of VCU, and he fouls one back, and it's 0-2. Scherzer hasn't faced the A's since 2014, so his career numbers kind of are irrelevant against the A's, but in 7 career starts against Oakland, he has a 4.75 ERA, but that was obviously a very different Oakland team. And he gets strike 3 called. The changeup gets Machin looking for the 2nd out.
So we saw in yesterday's game a couple of the close pitches in the first inning. Jacob deGrom did not get from Angel Hernandez, who was behind the plate. See DJ Rayburn, Jim Wolf, and James Hoy is behind the plate. He did get that pitch from James Hoy.
Interestingly enough, deGrom was very upset during the first inning, went down in between innings, looked at some of the calls, came back out and apologized to Angel Hernandez, said, "Angel, you got him right." Angel patted him on the back twice.
I saw Angel this morning. He was in a great mood. Now I know why.
Here's Sean Murphy. And he goes after a first pitch slider and misses, 0-1. Murphy 3 for 8 in this series with a pair of doubles. He is the A's best player. Gold Glove catcher, outstanding hitter. He's catching today after DHing yesterday. And he takes below the knees. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Imagine if he had a bit of protection. He had it in the past, of course, but all those players are gone.
Matt Olson and Matt Chapman and Mark Canha and Starling Marte, and the list goes on and on. Elvis Andrus was here earlier this year. Not to mention all the pitchers, right? That's Chris Bassett and Frankie Montas and Sean Manaea, all of whom are employed elsewhere. A's won 86 games last year. They made the postseason the previous 3 years, but they tore it down after last season, and they stripped it right down to the studs, leaving Murphy and not much else. But they won the game yesterday. They've got a chance to win a series from a team that is desperate for every win right now, trying to win the National League East. Meanwhile, in Philly, they're still waiting out the rain. They've been waiting for about 1 hour and 20 minutes. And there's a lot of rain still in the forecast. Phillies up 6-5. It is an official game in the bottom of the 5th. What a crazy game that's been. 2-2 to Murphy. Pulled on the ground over the bag. That's a fair ball down the line. And Murphy's got himself another extra base hit. Canha will make the throw to second, but Murphy easily arrives safely with his 3rd double and 4th hit in this series. 37 doubles this year now for Sean Murphy.
3 of his 4 doubles, Gary, in this series have come on hanging breaking balls, and that was a hanging slider from Max Scherzer. Out of the box for Murphy. Runs pretty good. There was going to be a play at second, but I think Canha bobbled it just for a second in left field.
So runner in scoring position for Seth Brown, who had an enormous day yesterday. Single, double, home run, walk, and was robbed of a hit on a diving play by Alonso that saved 2 runs. And the cutter runs inside for ball 1. Brown with 24 home runs to lead the A's. Hit one over the center field fence yesterday against DeGrom that put the A's in front to stay in the 3rd inning. Lindor playing right behind Murphy as he takes his lead at second. The drum beat. And Brown takes a knee-high strike with the fastball 1-1. This was the home run by Brown yesterday.
I mean, he has tons of power. Saw it here, hitting it over the center field wall.
20 home runs last year, 24 more this year for the 30-year-old Seth Brown. And that one runs inside, a cutter from Scherzer, and he held the swing in time, 2-1.
Interesting. Tomas Nido and Lindor have been putting on a pickoff play. You can see Lindor's been putting up his hand to say no. That time he said yes, throw it. See, they're saying again, no, we're not going to put it on this time.
Now explain to me, if you can see that and we can see that, can't the A's see that?
They can see that, but I think what is happening because of the pitch comm, Nito's probably talking to Lindor through the pitch comm,
right,
and Lindor is just saying no. I know you want to throw it, but we're not doing it here.
So you can signal no, you're just not going to signal yes.
Yes, that's right.
Curveball bounced foul, and it's 3-2 to Brown. Yeah, that would be bad. Who was the pitcher we saw a few years ago say the pitch and we could read his lips right before he threw it?
Zach Greinke.
Yeah. Dermis Garcia would be next. 3-2 to Brown with Murphy at second and 2 out. And it's inside, ball 4, and so the A's have 2 men on.
Sometimes you can tell a hitter is locked in, not only from the hits that they are producing, but also the walks. He's taken a lot of close pitches the last couple of days off DeGrom and now Scherzer.
Well, you don't feel too bad about walking Seth Brown in this lineup. I mean, Scherzer is very meticulous about going after hitters, but in this lineup with the first base open and a right-hander on the mound, you feel okay about that, even though Garcia hit one out of sight on Friday night, and he starts him off with a slider for a swing and miss, 0-1. Garcia's got tremendous power. Double on a home run in this series. He's driven in 3 runs. Just 86 big league at bats for the former Yankee prospect. Batting here with 2 out and 2 on. Curveball catches the corner, and it's 0-2.
So far, James Hoy, umpire behind the plate, has a pretty generous zone for the pitchers.
Both sides. We have multiple drummers today. It's not like John Adams in Cleveland is all by his lonesome.
He's got a monopoly out there.
Although he hasn't been there in a few years, right, not since the pandemic. Scherzer trying to get out of this first inning ahead on Garcia 0-2. And he struck him out. Got him with the slider. 2 strikeouts in the inning for Scherzer as he strands a pair. We go to the second, no score. Nice day for sailing. A little breeze.
Do you know how to sail?
I do not.
Yeah, I don't.
I know how to sit on a sailboat and watch other people sail.
Oh.
I'm really good at that.
I'm good at getting seasick. That's my talent.
With seasickness, you have to eat.
Yeah.
And you have to stare at the horizon. You can't keep your sights short. I learned that the hard way.
Kind of like our job right now, right? Look on the horizon.
Pete Alonso leads off in the second against J.P. Sears. Pete homered yesterday in his first at bat. It is 38th of the year.
Boy, what a shot this was. Jumped all over that fastball from Wandachuk. Well, as far as the home run from Garcia the night prior.
Alonso second in the National League with the 38 home runs. He's now 4 behind Kyle Schwarber, who's hit 2 today for the Phillies. That's up the middle and off the glove of a diving Clement. And Alonso's got a base hit. So Clement making just his second big league start at shortstop, and his debut for the A's came awfully close to making that diving play. Right off the tip.
I mean, what an athletic looking play there from Clement right out of the chute for the A's.
It's worth mentioning that most of Clement's work in the minor leagues was at shortstop, but the Indians just declined to use him there. They used him almost everywhere else.
He started 17 games for the Guardians at third base, 10 at second base, 8 at left field, 1 at first base, and 2 as a pitcher.
I said Indians because he came up with the Indians last year.
Oh, yeah, of
Then
course.
He played for the Guardians this year. Here's Jeff McNeil, who's 5 for 10 in this series, hitting .318 for the year. And he goes after a first pitch slider, 0-1. Jeff 10 points behind Freddie Freeman for the National League lead in batting. .374 on base percentage is 4th in the league.
You're going to be the only one who gets this, Gary, but J.P. Sears to me looks a little bit like Pat Mears, who used to pitch for the Mets. Same kind of build, same kind of repertoire.
That's slugged out to right field. Capel gives a couple of strides and goes back to get it to retire McNeil, 1 out. Well, there's your fresh, direct out-of-town score. Still on a holding pattern in Philadelphia. Phillies were behind twice in that game. They got 2 sacrifice flies in the bottom of the 5th to take the lead, which made it an official game. 4.5 innings with the home team leading. They're in the bottom of the 5th, so it is an official game, but I'm sure they'll wait for hours because that game is of such great import to both teams. Here's Escobar with 1 out and 1 on, and Eduardo fouls one back.
Outstanding fundamental situational hitting by the Phillies.
Really was, because the first sacrifice fly was a doubly productive out by Harper. Got the runner in and over to third. And then the next sacrifice fly got Hoskins home with the lead run. Escobar had a grand slam on Friday night. That's his only hit in this series. And he lines that one into left center for a base hit. Alonso around second. He'll go on to third. Kemp's throw will go to second. Escobar might have broken his bat, but he gets a base hit to put runners at first and third with 1 out.
Well, Escobar continues to do it here in September. Coming into this game, hitting .325 with 7 home runs and 17 RBIs in September. Fastball in, good pitch from Sears, but still ends up the base hit. A nice job by Alonso. Once he reads that Kemp is going to have to go to his left and he's going to make the play, the turnaround as a right-handed thrower and throw Pete out of third is not going to happen.
So the Mets with a chance to get on the board here in the second with Darren Ruff at the plate. Ruff has had signs of progress in this series. He's gone 2 for 8 in the first 2 games. First and third and 1 out. And Ruff takes a slider for a strike, 0-1. Ruff getting his third straight start with the Mets facing 3 lefties in this series. They'll face another one in the series against Miami. Jesus Luzardo goes in the second game on Wednesday after Pablo Lopez pitches the opener. That's seeing a lot of lefties coming down the stretch. And the back foot slider has Ruff flailing, and it's 0-2.
You know, Buck Showalter, who never says he's paranoid, he's just aware, has said that he feels like a lot of teams have been shifting their rotations, making sure that they get as many left-handed pitchers versus the Mets.
The Mets have not been nearly as successful when they face a lefty starter, just 8 games over 500, whereas they're 31 games over 500 when righties start. Well, slider misses down, 1-2. Mets team batting average is 21 points higher against righties than it is against lefties. And Ruff was brought here to try and balance some of that out, but it has not worked for him for the most part. 62 at bats as a Met, most of them against lefties, and he's hitting just 161. And Ruff pops one up, shallow right center. Capel coming on. Not deep enough for Alonso to think about trying to score. Draws the throw into the cutoff man, and that's the second out. So Ruff unable to get the run in. And now it's left to Tyler Naquin, who does not hit much against lefties. Naquin put in the lineup today for 2 reasons. One, Luis Guillorme got hit by a pitch yesterday, and his arm swelled up a little bit. He could play today, but also because Ruff really struggled in right field yesterday.
Yeah. And they have Ruff at first to give Alonso DHing more of a day and a half off, right?
Naquin hitting just 161 against lefties this year. Interestingly, he's the only Met in this lineup who has ever faced J.P. Sears before. 2 career at bats against him, 0 for 2. First and third and 2 out. And that one pops out of the mid of Murphy, but no advance. Well, we mentioned every game crucial down the stretch. That Atlanta Philly game crucial for both sides. The Phillies, there you see the Mets numbers against lefties and righties. Phillies came into the day a game and a half in front of Milwaukee for the final postseason berth. The Brewers just lost in Cincinnati 2-1 on a home run in the bottom of the 8th by Spencer Steer. Second big league home run for the Reds to beat the Brewers 2-1. That's line to center field. A base hit for Naquin to bring in the game's first run. Well, you just never know, right? Naquin, lefty on lefty, rifles a base hit to bring in Alonso, and it's 1-0 New York.
That's one of the best swings he's had in a Mets uniform. Short, crisp, right to that ball. That wasn't an awful pitch, but the lefties love that ball down. It wasn't in as much, but it was down. And he hit a bullet to center field.
So a big 2-out hit left on left for Naquin. And that gives the Mets the early lead. As Tomas Nido took an 0 for yesterday. Hitless in his last 7 at bats. 2 out and 2 on, and Nido slashes one foul.
But as we've seen all season long, Nido's done his best work offensively with runners in scoring position.
Yesterday, the Mets took a 3-0 lead early, only to lose 10-4. It was only the 16th time this year that the A's had won when the opposition scored first. They're now 16-73 when the opposition scores first. Nido has to vacate. 1-1.
And conversely, Gary, the Mets only lost their 14th game yesterday when they score first. They're 77-14.
Yeah, Mets have been best in the majors at winning when they score first, but yesterday was not that day. Escobar at second, Naquin at first with 2 down. And Nido tops one foul down past Joey Cora. 1-2.
You know, I mentioned when we were doing the defense, this is Nido's 82nd start behind the plate, so he's started more than half the games. That's that really says something about Tomas, his development, the comfortability that all the pitchers have throwing to him. He's really made great strides.
Wasn't the game plan this year, but James McCann 2 stretches on the injured list, and Nido really had a chance to establish himself. And that's a good stop by Murphy on a slider that was kicking up, and he was able to keep that from going to the backstop.
He got the left knee down, but he's able to move and catches it right off his left hip.
Very mobile back there. He won a Gold Glove last year. First ace catcher ever to do that.
He'll be in line again this year.
Terry Steinbeck never a Gold Glove?
No.
2 out, 2 on, 2-2 to Nido with Nimmo next. And that's inside, full count. Well, Sears is a lefty who likes to pitch in against the righties. That was the scouting report on him, and he has certainly shown that so far today.
Only 2 batters hit by pitch, though, against Sears.
Well, the Mets will fix that.
Yeah, right.
Now the runners get set to go. Escobar and Naquin with 2 out. And Nido hooks one down the left field line, and that'll go foul. It feels as though Sears is throwing an inordinate number of sliders early in this game. Throws it 24% of the time on the season.
Well, he doesn't throw a lot of changeups, so you can almost eliminate that if you're a hitter in any big circumstance.
You would figure that would be a good weapon for him against the right-hand batters, but it's very much his third pitch.
It will be someday.
Again, the 3-2 to Nido. And the slider popped up into shallow center. On comes Seth Brown. And he puts it away to retire the side. But Naquin's RBI hit gives Max Scherzer and the Mets a 1-0 lead. Tune into Sports Nation for the latest on all the New York sports teams. Join Mark Malusis, Joe Masseri, and Justin Walters. Will be very busy trying to keep up with what will undoubtedly be a jam-packed October for New York sports. That's Sunday nights at 11 right here on Pix 11, New York's very own. Connor Capel leads off for the A's in the home second and fouls back Max Scherzer's first pitch fastball. Capel had himself quite a day yesterday. Single, triple, homer, 3 RBIs, a couple of terrific plays in the outfield in just his 4th game for the Oakland A's. And he tries to bunt his way on. It comes up and hits his bat a second time. It's a foul ball, and it's 0-2. Capel making quite the good first impression after being picked up from the Cardinals earlier this month on waivers. Made his big league debut with St. Louis. Yesterday was his first home run for the A's, his 2nd in his big league career. Let's put the full shift on against Capel. And he goes down to the back foot cutter. Good pitch by Scherzer to strike out Capel. That's his 3rd strikeout.
Well, gave up that 1 pitch trying to bunt. Good hard slider cutter from Max Scherzer there. Just eats up those left-handed hitters.
So Max throws 2 different pitches, right? He throws the slider to righties and he throws the cutter to lefties. What's the difference and why does he differentiate that way?
Okay, the cutter's always going to be harder than the slider, so let's just get that one out there first. He holds it just about with the same grip, and one he'll really try to rip through the seams and get it spinning, and the other one you want just the opposite. You don't want it to spin at all. You want it to be going toward the hitter and just make a little left turn inside to the lefty or outside to the righty at the last second. But the most important, the slider is the one you rip down so you can get some spin like that, and the cutter you want it to be flat and to move horizontally. That's the key for the pitch.
So why do you want the pitch with the bigger break necessarily against the righties, with the smaller break, the harder pitch against the lefties? That's ripped down the line by Langeliers, and it hits the chalk and goes into the corner. And Shea Langeliers legs into second base with a 1-out double. So Langeliers DHing today, has his second hit in the series. Both have been 2-base hits.
We'll see the side swing for Langeliers. Big leg kick, very powerful lower body that he uses to generate the power, and a little luck right here, right on the line. So why does he use both pitches? Well, he just wants to give the hitter a different look at all times.
It's the first pitch, slider into Diaz. But he uses the slider exclusively against righties and the cutter exclusively against lefties, and I wonder why one works better than the other for each side.
Well, I think we'll watch this pitch to Diaz. I think, Gary, the whole key is, where does left-handers like to hit the ball? They like it down and in. So a slider is moving down and in to where they like it. A cutter is moving at the belt in. They don't like that pitch. That's why you want to throw it against lefties. And righties, the sweeping action of it starting at you and ending up off the plate confuses them.
And a curveball strikes out Diaz. So 4 strikeouts now for Scherzer as he strikes out Jordan Diaz on 3 pitches. And there are 2 out. Can't think of any other pitcher who makes that stark differentiation. Has one pitch that he throws just to one side and one pitch he throws just to the other side. I mean, we used to see it with lefties all the time throwing changeups. They'd never throw them left on left, but now they do. Ernie Clement, first at bat for the A's, takes a strike.
And we see righties throwing right-handed changeups into right-handers. Max does that as well. I'm not a big fan of that pitch, but some pitchers are.
Pete Alonso was a big fan of hitting it the other day against Corbin Burns.
Yeah.
Backhanded by Nito, 1-1 to Clement. Dave's killer Brett amplified. There's your Dave's leaderboard. Active wins leader Max joining his former teammate Justin Verlander and Zach Greinke. He's the only active pitchers with 200 wins.
Boy, 2 are close though.
And will Wainwright be around long enough?
Yeah, who knows?
Kershaw will be. And Clement takes an outside corner strike, and it's 1-2. Ernie Clement grew up in upstate New York, around the Rochester area, and played in the ACC at Virginia. The 63rd player the A's have used this year. That's a franchise record for them, but not even the most in the major leagues this year. And the slider just off the plate, 2-2.
Ernie Clement played on that UVA team that won the College World Series in 2015. Showing the stripes and the socks. Impressive.
First game out. 2-2 coming. Popped up into shallow right. McNeil out. Naquin in. Naquin will get there. And that retires the side. The double and 1 left. Scherzer puts up a 0 after getting the lead. 1-0 after 2. When we come to the Bay Area, it's one of the landmarks of his childhood. Hi, Keith. I know you're watching. Drive Around the Majors brought to you by Nissan. Don Mattingly is going to be out after this season. Mutual parting of the ways, they're calling it. 7 years as Marlins skipper. Mets will see the Marlins Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think Don's going to manage out the season. I think that's part of the deal.
Well, the way it sounded and the words they used, the sense to me is that he still wants to manage again in the future someplace.
It did seem, though, earlier this season, remember when they had the whole clubhouse contretemps where people were yelling and screaming at each other, and Jazz Chisholm was right in the middle of it. It seemed as though time was short for Donnie in that job.
That he had lost the clubhouse, and that's something you would hate to do as a manager, or can't afford to do as a manager. But I think he got his hands around the clubhouse again.
Yeah. I mean, he said they need a different voice, and that might be the case. I mean, what's clearly true about the Marlins is that they decided to spend a little bit of money this past winter, and it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Right? All the guys they brought in, whether it was Jorge Soler or Avisail Garcia or Joey Wendell, those guys have all underperformed what they expected. And so a team that was trying to upgrade their offense to go with a good pitching staff was not able to do so. 1-2 to Nimmo, and that's up and in, and Nimmo just about undressed by J.P. Sears. 2-2.
This kid with the 91-mile-an-hour fastball likes to attack inside the lefties and righties.
Well, he has set him up for the slider, which he's thrown almost half the time early in the game. Mark Canha on deck. And there's the slider fouled off. Well, there are your standings, brought to you by Fresh Direct, the freshest groceries delivered right to your door. Marlins 89 losses. Another lost season for them.
Well, one of the reasons they had to go get Avisail Garcia and Soler and others is because they had a troop of young everyday players that they weren't able to develop. You know, after they made the trades with all three of those outfielders, Ozuna, Yelich, and Stanton, they got back a cachet of young, athletic outfielders.
Lewis Brinson, Monte Harrison.
Yeah,
guys like that.
And none of them developed.
Right. Throw Isan Diaz in there too, right?
Yeah. So their young pitchers they developed, but they weren't able to develop their young everyday players.
Well, their pitching is very deep. It's not just Sandy Alcantara. I mean, I know Pablo Lopez has struggled against the Mets, but he's been pretty good against everybody else. Jesus Luzardo, Trevor Rogers, Edward Cabrera. And Nimmo draws the walk. Worked his way to a full count and got a 3-2 slider that he took off the plate. And the Mets have a leadoff base runner. First walk given up by Sears.
If I were the Marlins, I would think a lot about trying to get maybe some secondary offensive players that have great numbers one side or the other and start to do what the Giants did last year, some platooning.
Right. Well, and they've got some interesting guys. Like, remember when they got Brian De La Cruz from the Astros last year, and he tore it up the first month or so? And he struggled this year, and they sent him to the minors. But now they brought him back in the last 10 days. He had a huge game yesterday, 4 hits, almost hit for the cycle. He's hitting about 370 since they brought him back a couple of weeks ago. I mean, that's a piece that might develop, but you can't have confidence. Lewin Diaz, J.R. Encarnacion, all these guys, you're not quite sure what they are at this point.
Encarnacion, is he the one that hit the grand slam against the Mets?
And Diaz, smooth first baseman, but you don't know if he's going to hit enough. Here's Canha, who flied out to right his first time up. And he takes a changeup for a strike. First one that Sears has thrown. 0-1. You know, there was a pitcher back in the 50s and 60s named Ed Roebuck. Wouldn't you love to see J.P. Sears matched up against Ed Roebuck?
That would be great.
Nimmo at first, been doing a little running lately, but with the quad tweak that he suffered the other day, probably not. And Canha takes inside. In fact, that's how he tweaked it, was stealing second in Milwaukee. Went in with a head first slide and had to kind of hook himself to stay on the bag, and that's when he first felt the quad, and then came out later after going slowly after a couple balls in the outfield. That's the day off Thursday. He was back in Friday, took off yesterday, and back in there today. Another day off tomorrow. So back foot slider misses 2-1.
So was it a strain or like a Charlie horse?
You know, he said he felt a little tightness.
Okay.
So he had the MRI. It came back clean, and so they were encouraged by that. And he went out on the field Friday and worked out, felt good, looked just fine Friday, and he's looked fine so far today. 1-1 to Canha, who flied out to right his first time up with Lindor on deck. 1-0 New York. We're in the third. And Canha swings past a fastball, and it's 2-2. Just got word that they're planning to restart in Philadelphia at 5:20.
You know, when I played with Ricky Henderson here, he was the king of getting as low as he could before he stole the base. Nimmo's just the opposite. He stands about as tall as anyone you're ever going to see taking a lead.
Popped up, shallow right. Out goes Diaz. In comes Capel, and Capel is there to grab it. 1 out. Well, Jose Reyes stood pretty tall when he took his lead on a stolen base.
It really is how a player feels comfortable with that crossover and getting their great step. With Ricky, he was built so low to the ground with those big, powerful legs that, and he had been a great running back here in the Oakland area. He felt like a running back coming out of the blocks, just like that.
He was like a locomotive with those legs.
He was put together, man.
But unlike a locomotive, his first step was brilliant. He'd cross over and he'd be in full stride within one step. There's Lindor, who fouled out his first time up. And a change up in for a strike, and it's 0-1. So second time around the batting order, Sears starting to mix in his changeup.
Ricky was the only player, Gary, I've ever played with. He'd come to the park some days, and he'd say, Ricky's going to get his today. And he would go 3 for 4, make a great catch, steal 2 bases, score 3 runs, maybe hit a leadoff homer. It was unbelievable, uncanny.
And then there were other days.
Yeah. There were enough good days, I'll tell you that, if you look at the back of his baseball card.
Certainly more good than bad. That's how you wind up in the Hall of Fame. Here's ahead on Lindor 0-2 with Alonso on deck. Long hold, and Lindor finally asked for time. By the way, the Marlins lost to the Nats today 6-1, and that's an event because with that win, the Nationals finished their season series against the Marlins 4-15. That's hit hard through the hole, a base hit for Lindor. Nimmo pulls in at second. So after a changeup and a slider had Lindor confused, he got an 0-2 fastball and he drills it. He now has an 11-game hitting streak.
Well, he was trying to go in and didn't get it in enough, did Sears. And Francisco right now is swinging the bat as well as he's swung it all year. Compact. I thought it was supposed to be in, it was supposed to be up and away, and it was middle by Sears.
So the Mets have 2 men on for Alonso. Sean Murphy out to the mound to talk to his pitcher.
You know, Gary, you mentioned the Nationals because both the Braves and the Mets are going to have some games with the Nationals. They are now in the National League East with that win today, 15-51.
Well, after today, the Mets and Braves basically have the same schedule. They both have a series with the Marlins, they both have a series with the Nationals, and they have the series against each other in between. So it will be a fair fight from here on out.
Yeah.
Here's Alonso, who singled off the glove of the shortstop Clement and scored the only run of this game in the second. Nimmo at second, Lindor at first with 1 out. And Pete takes outside ball 1. The road ahead brought to you by Corner Bistro. Order your game time favorites exclusively through DoorDash. Well, you know the Marlins, they pitch well, they don't hit as much, but they do have the pest in John Birdie, who leads the league in steals.
That's right.
That next weekend in Atlanta is shaping up to be a huge series and extraordinarily dicey because of impending weather. There's a Hurricane Ian, that's moving up through the Caribbean, heading for Cuba, then for Florida. and is taking basically direct aim at Atlanta, where it should arrive right around Friday when the Mets and Braves are scheduled to start that series. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, my first thought when you told me this, I said, well, let's just move the series to a dome stadium.
Yeah, you think the Braves would like that?
No.
They have 3 sellouts for the weekend. That's punched the other way, caught on the first baseman Garcia. Just a little soft liner. And Garcia was in the right spot to grab it, 2 out.
I don't know if this got up on the label or off the end of the bat from Pete. Oh, off the end of the bat. Had a lot of spin on it. A lot of top spin for Garcia to deal with.
Yeah, remember a few years ago, well, it's a bunch of years ago now, when late in the season, the Cubs were scheduled to play in Houston, and they had an impending hurricane, and they moved the series to Milwaukee.
That's right.
And as the visiting team in Milwaukee, with mostly Cub fans there, Carlos Zambrano threw a no-hitter.
I do remember that.
And I bet you the Braves remember that too, and they will fight tooth and nail to not have that series moved.
You will not be able to move in that battery right outside the stadium.
But what if there's 3 days of rain? What are they going to do?
Well, you and I will spend a few days in Atlanta, Gary.
That wasn't really my point. McNeil flied out to right his first time up. I mean, there's no place to put those games if you get, a couple of rainouts, because the Mets go home. They play the next day against the Nats on that Monday. And then after the season ends Wednesday, there's only 1 day off between the end of the season and the start of the wild card series, which either the Mets or Braves are going to be playing in. It's pennant race. Lunacy. I remember in 1999, the Mets were in the final weekend of the season. They got to the final day. They needed they had drawn even for the wild card, and they won their game. And they were competing with the Reds, and the Reds needed to win to force a 1-game playoff. And the Reds were playing in Milwaukee, where it was raining and raining and raining. They had a 7-hour rain delay, but they had to play the game as ball 4 and the bases are loaded. And the Mets didn't know where to go, because they didn't know if they were going to go to Cincinnati to play a 1-game playoff or go to Arizona to start the division series if the Reds lost.
Jeez.
And they wound up flying to Cincinnati before the game was over, and then played the Reds the next day and beat them. Al Leiter shut them out. But they had a 7-hour rain delay. And the other oddity about that is Scott Emerson goes to the mound. It was the last day of the 1999 season. Miller Park was initially scheduled to open for the 2000 season, but it got delayed. They had a construction accident and an unfortunate tragedy, which ended up pushing it back. But because the last day of the 1999 season was supposed to be the last day at County Stadium, the Brewers had a sellout.
Oh.
So they had a sellout crowd with a 7-hour rain delay before they finally played, and the Reds wound up winning the game.
And they didn't have a lot of sellout crowds in those days at that ballpark. They do now.
So bases loaded for Escobar, who hit a grand slam, the first of his career here on Friday night. He had a broken bat single to left center his first time up today. Mets looking to expand on a 1-0 lead in the third. And Escobar takes a fastball for a strike, 0-1. A couple of walks in the inning for Sears. Bracketing a base hit by Lindor. And Escobar bounces the slider foul, and 0-2. September has been a terrific month for Escobar. OPS over 1,000 this month. 7 of his 19 home runs have come in September, including that grand slam Friday night. He's down in the count, 0-2. And Escobar lines one into center field for a base hit. Nimmo is in. Lindor right behind him. Escobar down in the count 0-2. Drives in a pair, and it's 3-0 New York. A wonderful September for Eduardo Escobar just keeps on building.
Well, a couple of mistakes by the young left-hander on 0-2 counts here in this inning. Each and every time he's trying to go up in the strike zone, maybe he just does not have enough on his fastball to get it by Escobar. Remember yesterday's game, he struck out a couple times on balls right in that place, but Sears only throws 90 to 92.
And now Darren Ruff has to move his feet on a ball that almost hit him.
With 2 outs, Lindor is almost halfway to third base when that ball is made contact with, so he is going to score easily.
Well, both Lindor and Escobar getting base hits on 0-2 fastballs from J.P. Sears, and that's given the Mets a chance to cash in on a couple of walks. Sears walking 2 left-hand hitters in the inning. That's what really has put him in difficulty. He walked both Nimmo and McNeil, and then gave up the base hits to the right-hand batters. Ruff flied out to right his first time up, batting here with 2 out and 2 on. And he takes a slider inside, 2-0.
So sometimes there's a scouting report in how you're supposed to pitch hitters, but the pitcher's stuff doesn't match how to get hitters out, and that's what's happened to Sears in this inning.
That's a good point. And Waldichuk was able to pitch up in the zone maybe more effectively.
He's got some life upstairs.
And the sinker misses down, and it's 3-0.
Sears in the Yankees farm system was really penned as a guy that would spend a lot of time in the bullpen, was going to be a middle innings reliever. But because of the dearth of starting pitching, he's traded over here to the A's, and he gets right into the rotation.
3-0 to Ruff. He'll have the green light, but he takes a strike, 3-1. Tyler Naquin, who drove in the first Met run, is on deck. That 3-0 pitch would be the perfect time for him to think about his first home run as a Met. Now he's got a 3-1 count. He takes a big rip at a fastball, and it's 3-2. Jorge Ruiz is up in the bullpen for the A's. And Sears is about to throw his 31st pitch of this third inning. McNeil and Escobar get set to go, and Ruff pops one up on the right side, and Garcia into foul ground puts it away to retire the side. But the Mets Cadillac a couple against Sears and lead at 3-0 in the third in Oakland. Liberty's here because we're actually in the East Bay, but this would be the San Francisco trolley cars, since as far as I'm aware they don't have trolley cars in Oakland at the present time.
No, BART is how you get around.
Tony Kemp leads off the home third against Max Scherzer.
You know, we always think of the Twin Cities, right? Minneapolis and St. Paul.
Right.
But these two big metropolitan cities are only separated by the Bay Bridge.
And sometimes they feel worlds apart.
Yes, that is true. That is true. Oh, hot dog. Okay. The mustard.
I mean,
Ketchup, Keith.
things have probably come a little ways since Gertrude Stein said of Oakland, there's no there.
Well, San Francisco has its own issues right now.
Well, San Francisco has its own superiority complex when it comes to Oakland, but that doesn't mean that Oakland needs to buy into that. However, as far as baseball is concerned, they've been trying very hard here to find themselves a new home. Kemp rolls one over. McNeil was back in the shift, has the bare hand, and he got him. Oh, Oh, wow, what a play! Jeff McNeil playing about 20 feet into the outfield against the speedy Kemp. And so he had to barehand it on the run and make the toss, and he got him by a half a stride. What a play.
Well, this is the play against the shift that is so impossible. But the bare hand, the throw, and the dive all at the same time, he sticks the landing as well. And defensively, he has been just so great all season long, wherever you put him.
Just throwing his body at the situation. He did that in left field the other day in Milwaukee, and he does it now at his more familiar home at second base. Curveball in for a strike to Machín.
That's a play you would have seen at this ballpark in the 70s by Dick Green. Would have made those plays.
Remember during the A's run in the 70s, they had a second base, basically platoon, where they had 4 different second basemen and they pinch hit for each one every time up. It was in the early days of the DH where you could start to do that, but teams hadn't gone to 12 and 13 man pitching staff, so you had a deep enough bench. And I think I don't think it was Dick Williams. I think it was Alvin Dark who started pinch hitting for his second baseman virtually every time up. And Dick Green was one of those guys. I mean, they had Vic Davalillo on the bench.
Right.
And great pinch hitters like that.
A's are on the forefront of trying a lot of different things here, whether it's uniforms, shoes.
Swing and a miss, and Machín is down on strikes on the cutter from Scherzer, and he's got his 5th strikeout, 2 out. Well, Charlie Finley was the owner of the A's, and he wanted to take things a lot further. He wanted to play with orange baseballs.
That's right.
He wanted to have 3 balls for a walk and 2 strikes for an out. He had the mechanical rabbit who would bring the baseballs to the umpire so the bat boy didn't have to.
That's right. He wanted to be able to run for anyone at any time.
Right. And he was the guy who could have broken the union.
Yes.
If they had only listened to him. When free agency came in and the owners were dragged kicking and screaming into the era of free agency, it was Charlie who said, make every player a free agent every year.
That's right.
That way you flood the market with supply and the salaries will go down. And they wouldn't listen to him, and they limited free agency, which only drove the prices up. And a rising tide lifted all boats, and player salaries exploded. If they'd only listened to Charlie, the owners might have gotten the upper hand.
Yes. I mentioned when we were doing the themes of the game that MC Hammer.
Where is the rest of the elephant?
There it is.
There it is.
There it is.
Okay, I was just wondering if we had just the trunk.
I was mentioning that MC Hammer was the bat boy here. He was more than the bat boy. He hung out all the time.
Yep. Before Hammer time.
Before Hammer time.
Sean Murphy doubled his first time up. And a little nubber off the end of the bat foul.
I'm not sure what year it was. I think it's 1981, where Billy Martin's pitchers, the starting staff, wore white uniforms and white sleeves. And they got away with it for a while.
Well, Billy had the 1 year in Oakland, I think it was 80, where they had, what, 90-something complete games?
That's right.
And all the guys on that staff, Matt Keogh and Brian Kingman and
Mike Norris.
Steve McCaddy. Nice play, Lindor, the spinorama, and he throws out Murphy, side retired. All those guys developed arm problems and didn't last all that much longer. Oakland Hills in the background with the Mets up 3-0 heading for the 4th. Season when the Mets host the Nationals in a 3-game series beginning October 3rd. Go to Mets.com/tickets. The helmet's got a lot going on there.
Yes, it does.
The bobblehead's on the helmet. The Ray patch there in honor of the late Ray Fosse. Beloved broadcaster here. Great catcher in his day. Tyler Naquin leads off the 4th inning. Naquin drove in the first med run with a base hit to center field against the left-hander, and takes a breaking ball for a strike. 0-1. 8, 9, and 1 in the order. Naquin, Nido, and Nimmo for the Mets against J.P. Sears. And the slider dribbled foul, and it's 0-2. Sears has been pretty good about getting to 0-2. But the last inning wasn't so good about getting past 0-2. Give him 2 hard hit base hits to Lindor and Escobar that plated 2 runs. And Naquin hits one slowly. In comes Diaz, makes the underhand toss in time. 1 out. Well, one of the most remarkable stories in baseball this year has been the ascension of the Cleveland Guardians. In their first year as the Cleveland Guardians, they will be going to the postseason. With the White Sox losing their 6th in a row today, the Guardians clinched the American League Central. They've won 17 of their last 20. They've done it with a team that doesn't hit many home runs. There's a lot of speed, a lot of youth, and it's quite a credit to Terry Francona and what he and his staff have done. That was not on anybody's dance card this year for Cleveland to win the American League Central.
Well, Mets fans know a couple of their players, former Met players, of course. But there's other players there that have had amazing years. One, they do it with some unbelievable starting pitching. But Oscar Gonzalez, right, someone that no one knows, 18 RBIs in September.
Stephen Kwan has had a great year all season.
Josh Naylor.
Ooh. Almost took out Nimmo in the on-deck circle. Well, Tristan McKenzie has come a long way. And, of course, they have this side of Edwin Diaz, the most dominating closer in baseball, in Emmanuel Clase. And one of the reasons why they have been pushing to clinch as early as they can is that Clase, unlike Diaz, has been very heavily worked. And they need to get him some rest heading to the postseason. 1-2 to Nido.
Clase, the man armed with a 100-mile-an-hour cutter.
What a disappointment, though, for the White Sox. Now a game under 500.
And the Twins as well, Gary. Twins have gone 7-16 in September.
2-2 to Nido. Well, it looks like they are back underway in Philadelphia. Bottom of the 5th, Phillies 6, Braves 5, a game that the Braves led twice. Phillies with 2 runs in the bottom of the 5th before the Rains game. And Nido takes inside, another full count, 3-2 to Nido.
Before the rain came, it didn't look like that game was going to end at 6-5. Guys had their hitting shoes on today.
Well, and interestingly, at 6-5, both the starters were still in, right?
That's right.
Charlie Morton and Kyle Gibson. Now, of course, they'll have to go to their bullpens after a long rain delay. And Nido goes down on the fastball. Just the 2nd strikeout of the day for Sears, who struck out his first batter and now strikes out his 18th batter. So 2 out and nobody on now. 3rd time around the order for Nimmo, who has struck out and walked. He scored a run. And Nimmo pops one foul. And that'll go out of play. I have to tell you, we don't do a lot of games here. You've seen a lot more games here than I have, having played here. But it's a kind of an entertaining aspect to the game when you have all this foul territory. I mean, we saw it yesterday. The Mets failed to make a couple of plays. The A's made a couple of plays. But regardless of who's making them and who's not making them, there's a certain amount of athleticism that is involved in playing the corner positions in this ballpark because of those vast expanses in foul territory that you just don't get anywhere else.
Yeah, one of the best infielders at catching those kind of pop-ups used to play here, Matt Chapman, that now plays in Toronto. It's one of the ballparks, Gary, that if you were inclined, you could build or search for players, seek players that could be a big fit here. The athleticism to chase balls down.
At the line the other way, and Nimmo's got a base hit. Chased toward the line by Kemp. He can't cut it off. He boots it, and Nimmo will go to second base. Nimmo might have gotten 2 bases out of that anyway, but we'll never know, as Kemp tried to cut it off along the line and couldn't do so cleanly. We'll see how they score it, but Nimmo winds up at second base. Another 2-strike hit given up by J.P. Sears.
Well, sometimes misplays in the outfield come because you put pressure on the outfielder with your speed. Good hitting right here first by Nimmo, but Tony Kemp knows that Nimmo's got speed. He doesn't know he has a bad quad, and he knew he had to get to that baseball, rushed it, and didn't make the play.
And they're going to charge an error. It'll be a single, and you could see Nimmo was pulling up at first base. So he was conceding a single had that ball been played cleanly. So here's Canha with 2 out and a runner at second. It's the first error in this series for either side. Canha's flied out twice to right field today, and he gets a breaking ball and hits it on the ground. It comes up and hits Clement. He recovers and throws, but not in time. Boy, that ball took a terrible hop and came up and hit Clement high on the chest. Came pretty close to hitting him in the throat, almost a Tony Kubek ball. That'll be an infield hit for Canha on the bad hop.
Well, he stayed right in front of it, and like a boomerang came up in the chest area of Clement. Nice job of staying with it, almost finished the play. Just something you do not see in today's game anymore. Fields are in impeccable shape. This is one of the older fields, and he gets a bad bounce.
So it's an infield hit for Canha, who's now reached base safely in 19 straight games. First game for Oakland. Welcome to the Coliseum, Ernie. Wow. So first and third and 2 out for Lindor, who had a base hit and scored a run in the third. 1 for 2 today. And he gets a breaking ball and drills it toward the left field corner, right toward the pole, but foul. Just got out ahead of it. That's the second one in this series that Lindor has almost hit out of the ballpark and just steered foul. A's get their bullpen going again. Jorge Ruiz, who was up in the last inning, is up again. Nimmo at third, Canha at first with 2 out.
You know, that Tony Kubek ball that came up and hit him in the throat was in the 8th inning of Game 7 of the 60 World Series, and it helped. I think Bill Verdon hit it, and it helped because it allowed Pittsburgh to come back.
Hal Smith then came up and hit a 3-run homer.
That's
and
right.
If not for the Yankees scoring in the top of the ninth, Hal Smith would be the name that you remember, not Bill Mazeroski, who then hit the walk-off homer in the bottom of the ninth. Another 0-2 count to Lindor. And he's able to poke one foul on the changeup.
Just remember that series was one of those, when I read about it, that run differential didn't mean too much.
Right. Well, the Yankees vastly outscored the Pirates, winning 3 games by lopsided margins. Takes a slider at his feet, 1-2. Nimmo was so alert coming down the line. As soon as he saw that ball was going to hit the dirt, he took 3 hard steps just in case that ball trickled away from Murphy. And Lindor hits this one deep to left. Back goes Kemp to the warning track, right at the fence. It's off the wall. Nimmo is in. Canna's right behind him. He will score a 2-run double for Francisco Lindor. 102 RBIs for Francisco, and the Mets have a 5-0 lead in the fourth. Once again, Lindor down in the count, got a pitch to hit, and he smacked one off the left center field wall.
We said in his last at-bat, he is so balanced right now, not over swinging. And a fastball away, he got up in the air, and it traveled out of the reach of Kemp, high off that wall. And by the time Seth Brown got to it, Canna read it beautifully. Already was turned halfway to third when that went off the wall. Probably has to do with playing a lot of games here in the past.
Well, that's going to be all for J.P. Sears. Jorge Ruiz will come out of the bullpen for the A's. 5-0 Mets. Will be right back. Third innings, having given up 5 runs and 8 hits.
Just too many 3-2 counts. He had some opportunities on 0-2 counts to retire hitters, put them away. He was not able to do that. Jorge Ruiz in for the A's.
Here's Alonso with Lindor at second and 2 out. Mets had 2 out and nobody on in this inning. But the base hit by Nimmo and then the bad hop infield hit for Canna, which kept the inning going for Lindor. And now Alonso takes the first fastball low and away from Ruiz for ball 1. And Ruiz throws a strike, and it's 1-1. Alonso chasing Mets history. The slider off the plate. He held the swing 2-1.
You'll see plenty of those right-handed sliders from Ruiz. It's his out pitch.
Just his 11th big league appearance, 28-year-old rookie from Cuba. And Alonso fouls off the fastball, and it's 2-2. Braves didn't score in the top of the 6th. They go to the bottom of the 6th in Philadelphia. Phillies 6, Braves 5. That's magic number for clinching the division is 9. Any combination of Mets wins and Braves losses. Lindor at second with 2 down, and Alonso got a good cut at that fastball and fouled it back. Sears threw 78 pitches over 3 2/3, 8 hits, 5 runs so far, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Alonso hits one deep to left field. Forget that. That is way out of here. Pete Alonso, number 39, and he's now the all-time single-season Mets RBI leader. 125 runs batted in, breaking the record held by Mike Piazza and David Wright.
Pete, you are now the man.
Well, he broke the Mets home run mark in his rookie year when he hit 53 in 2019. And now he owns the Mets RBI single season mark as well. A 2-run shot that makes it 7-0, 125 RBIs for Pete Alonso. Mike Piazza in 1999, David Wright in 2008, each had 124, and now Pete has usurped them.
He gets within reach of being the first Mets player maybe to have 2 seasons of 40 or more home runs.
There are now only 2 active players who own their franchise's home run and RBI records. Giancarlo Stanton for the Marlins, and now Alonso for the Mets. 53 home runs in 2019 and now 125 RBIs, and there was no doubt about that one. And that one caught the catcher Murphy. 0-2 to McNeil.
I played on a team with Mark McGuire and Jose Canseco in the stadium. I did not see many balls in that area. That was a tremendous blast here.
451 feet. That's Pete's longest of the season.
On a couple of bounces in the old stadium without the center field that they have now, it would have been at the BART station.
McNeil flies one out to right center. Brown and Capel come together, and Capel makes the catch to end the inning, but the Mets score 4 runs after 2 are out, capped by Alonso's record setter. 7-0 New York in the 4th. Jack London Square in there somewhere?
Yeah, a little south of there.
I need you for all my Northern California geography.
One day we're going to have an off day and go to Napa or Sonoma.
Well, Max Scherzer staked to a 7-run lead now, looking for a career win number 201. Seth Brown drew a walk his first time up. And that's quite an accomplishment by Pete Alonso. On a day that he's DHing, he gets to revel in his accomplishment in the dugout. His present and future are so bright. He's got to wear shades in the dugout.
That's really interesting that he's not in the field on a day when he sets a record, so that he's able to do something that very few athletes get to do in the course of a year. Sit back and reflect and enjoy. Because he should.
There's a lot more work to be done, and I'm sure he'd be the first one to say that, but you could tell his joy because he knew exactly what had happened as Brown flies one to deep left field, back toward the wall, and that's out of here. Seth Brown goes the other way for his 2nd home run in this series, his 25th of the year to get the A's on the board. It's now 7-1. Boy, he's had an impressive series.
Yeah, he's locked in.
Hit one to center field yesterday, and this time going to the opposite field. 5 for 7 in the series with a double and 2 home runs.
You know, very different than Friday night. The ball really carries much better here during the day. That fastball up and away, supposed to be in, and that ball just would not come out of the air as it hit off the cement and over the wall. Look at overhead. He's right on the dish, so that outside fastball is right in the sweet spot of that bat.
And Garcia fouls one back, and it's 1-1. So that's the first run that Scherzer's given up after 9 scoreless innings coming off the injured list. And now Garcia flies one out to right, easy for Naquin. 1 out. Max threw 6 perfect innings in Milwaukee in his return from the injured list. Gave up 2 hits over 3 scoreless innings today before allowing that home run to Brown. They're in the 7th now in Philly. Still Philly 6, Braves 5. Philly's got a big break today with the Brewers losing. Brewers had really picked it up and won 4 in a row, but they lost 2-1 to the Reds today. Edwin Diaz's brother got a save today for the Reds, closing out that game. Alexis. I was looking at Edwin's numbers over the last few weeks. It's grounded slowly. Who's going to play it? Lindor can't, and it trickles off his glove and goes into right center, and Capel's aboard. That's one of those confusing plays in the shift. Scored a base hit for Capel.
What's always difficult here, Gary, is what angle do you take to get the ball? He could have taken a deeper angle and got to it, but he wouldn't have had to play at first base. So he had to try to stab at it here in one motion, make the play, and didn't come up with the ball.
And if he leaves it alone, McNeil is so deep and Capel runs well enough that I don't think he would have been able to throw him out.
Yeah, it's a non-play.
There's Langoliers, who doubled down the left field line, his first time up. That's hit off the end of the bat, back to Scherzer, out at second, McNeil to first, double play, side retired. 1-4-3 on the double play. That ends the inning. Brown homers to get the A's on the board. It's 7-1. His finger today, everything's moving forward. It's improving. He's doing baseball activity as tolerated, so it's really the same story on Marte, which is basically when his finger feels well enough for him to grip a bat, grip a baseball, then he can start to think about making a return. Mets lead 7-1 as we start the fifth. Eduardo Escobar drove in a pair of runs with a third inning single. He's 2 for 2 today. Now facing Jorge Ruiz, who came in the fourth, gave up the 2-run homer to Alonso before getting the third out. And now Escobar swings and misses at a changeup, and it's 2-1. Darren Ruff and Tyler Naquin to follow. I started talking about Edwin Diaz in the last half inning. You know, since he faced the Dodgers on September 1st, it's been 24 days since then. That's 3.5 weeks. He's pitched 4 games for 4 2/3 innings. Now, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, on the one hand, you've got a very rested Diaz for this last week and a half as Escobar slices one down the left field line foul and into the postseason. On the other hand, the few times that he's pitched over the last 3.5 weeks, he hasn't been quite as dominant.
Well, that
so
makes
you
sense.
worry about rust.
Yeah, it makes sense when you haven't been out there.
Now, Buck said he's absolutely going to be in the game at some point today. And even with the lopsided game, if it stays this way, I'm sure that Buck will be true to that because he's got to get out there and work, especially with an off day tomorrow. Escobar goes the other way. He's got his third hit of the day. So Eduardo is 3 for 3. And 2 hits as a right-hand batter. Now 1 as a lefty.
I mean, what a role Escobar is on. He is just flooding every game he plays in with hits.
It's been a magnificent stretch drive for the Mets third baseman. Now Darren Ruff, who has flied out and fouled out 0 for 2. He takes a fastball strike from Ruiz. J.P. Sears was charged with 6 runs and 8 hits over 3 2/3. Ruiz thus far charged with 1 run on Alonso's tape measure blast. Inside to Ruff, and it's 1-1. Slider misses low. Braves didn't score in the top of the 7th. Bottom of the 7th now at Citizens Bank Park. Phillies 6, Braves 5. Left-hander Sam Selman getting up in the Oakland bullpen. He was just called up as this series began. And now Ruiz behind on Ruff, 3-1.
You know, it's not like Diaz was just having a fine year. He's having a historic year.
Right.
He was on a run that I haven't seen in quite some time for his ability to dominate hitters. So in some ways you wanted to keep him on that roll.
Ball 4 to Ruff. Well, again, it's a double-edged sword. The Mets have been in this very odd stretch in September in that virtually none of their games have been close.
Yeah.
They've either been blowing people out or getting beat by multiple runs. So they haven't really been in close games that would call for using your closer, and that's why Diaz has had so little work over the last 3.5 weeks.
And what happens invariably is like, well, let's not use him today because we're going to need him tomorrow.
Right.
And you never have gotten to that point.
Well, now that you have an off day tomorrow,
Yeah.
now you've come to the point where you absolutely have to get him in. Naquin lines one the other way, and sliding is Kemp to make the catch. Nice play by Tony Kemp to take a hit away from Naquin for the first out.
I know Tony has an error in this game, but he is such a fine defensive player wherever you put him, left field or second base. An aggressive play here to come and rob Naquin of a hit.
Yesterday he played both left and second and made a wonderful play late in the game at second base going to his right. Now the sliding play in left to take a hit away from Naquin, who drove in the first Met run today with a hit off a lefty that had to feel awfully good for him. Here's Nido, who struck out and flied out 0 for 2. Tomas, after a long hot streak, 0 for his last 9. And he takes a changeup low and in for ball 1. In that Braves-Phillies game, Kyle Schwarber is going to lead off in the bottom of the 7th. Already has 2 home runs today. 42 now for the year to lead the National League. It's the first. It's the most home runs for a Phillies outfielder since Chuck Klein in 1929.
Oh, wow.
Klein had 43, and that's the only Phillies outfielder who's ever had more. Lizinski, I would have thought, had a season like that. Never did. You know, you think of the big Philly home run hitters, Mike Schmidt, Ryan Howard, they've been infielders.
They had those real speedy outfielders in the 70s and 80s.
A lot of Gary Maddox.
Yes.
And Nido blasts one out to center. Brown going back. He'll get there and make the catch. Tagging at second is Escobar. He goes over to third. So Nido hit that ball solidly. That's the second out.
Baseball in September makes for strange bedfellows, doesn't it? As the Mets can root for the Philadelphia Phillies.
Nimmo due up. They've got the lefty Selman ready in the bullpen, and so Marcotte will make the pitching change.
This pitching change is brought to you by RingCentral.
So Ruiz is out after an inning of work. Selman coming in. 7-1 Mets in the 5th. We'll be right back. And for the 2022 Roberto Clemente Award presented by Capital One, the award recognizes players who best represent the game through positive contributions both on and off the field. Vote today at MLB.com/Clemente21.
Yes, the Oakland Zoo. I've been on one of those before.
Gondola.
Yep. Goes right over all the animals. It's pretty cool. Up in the hills.
31-year-old lefty Sam Selman, former San Francisco Giant, comes in to face Brandon Nimmo, who pops up the first pitch he sees. Shortstop Clement battling the sun as he goes and stays with it to make the grab. And that retires the side. So Selman throws one pitch, gets the third out. That sends us halfway through now in Oakland, with the Mets leading the A's 7-1. Working with a 7-1 lead. We'll face 8, 9, and 1 in the Oakland batting order. Jordan Diaz leads off. Diaz struck out his first time up today, but 3 for 5 in this series, just getting his feet wet in the big leagues. 22-year-old from Colombia.
Yeah, he's gone through AA, AAA, and now in the major leagues. 290 career hitter in the minors.
And they're using him primarily in a position he barely played in the minor leagues, second base. It's a 2-hopper to Lindor. Ball comes up nicely for him. 1 out. Be interesting to see how far Scherzer's allowed to go in this game. He threw 68 pitches in his 6 perfect innings in Milwaukee. He's thrown 63 pitches through 4 1/3 innings today.
This could be his last inning, Gary.
Ernie Clement, who caught that pop-up to end the last half inning, and he caught it wearing no sunglasses. I mean, are there guys who just don't like to wear sunglasses?
No,
Is there any reason not to? That's pulled to third and caught by Escobar. Caught it before it hit the ground. 2 out.
There, a lot of times when you go out on the field, you look up and you say, okay, I can see, I'm fine, I don't need sunglasses. But the weather is constantly changing. You don't know where the sun's going to be. And it really affected him. But I think you should always have the sunglasses on these kind of days. Mets players have them on full time, not even any flip downs.
You know, flip downs are out of date.
I know, they're cool though.
They were cool. I don't think this generation of players, they feel there's anything cool about flip downs. Pitchers would wear sunglasses, but they are told not to catch pop-ups.
On the off days, they have beautiful sunglasses.
I mean, Kent DeColvey wore sunglasses.
The craziest thing I ever saw as a kid was when Nolan Ryan was pitching for the California Angels.
With the eye
He
black?
used to wear eye black. Can you imagine throwing 100 with eye black? Scary enough.
And pitching inside, which he liked to do. 0-2 to Tony Kemp, who was robbed of a hit on a fine play by McNeil his last time. And he takes the cutter off the plate, 1-2.
And if you remember the one postseason start that Clemens had here at this stadium against the Oakland A's, where he got thrown out by Joe Brinkman. If you watch that game again, he had eye black on. Might have been. I thought it was Brinkman, but it might not have
I thought it
been.
was Terry Cooney.
Terry Cooney?
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah, and he, it's almost like he wanted to get thrown out of that game. That was my impression at the time. You never know with Roger in the postseason.
Well, those were the days. Yeah, exactly. Those were the days that Dave Stewart had Roger's number in the playoffs. He would always be the better pitcher, or it seemed like that.
3-2 coming, and Kemp drives one out to left center field, headed back in the gap, but overcomes Canha to make the catch, and that retires the side. Scherzer gets a 1-2-3. We're going to go back over the Bay Bridge to San Francisco to show you the world's most famous street, Lombard Street. Drive slowly. You ever hear me say that before?
No.
With the 2-run homers, setting the Mets' single-season record for RBIs with 125, his 39th home run. Eduardo Escobar's had a big day, 3 for 3, 2 RBIs. Francisco Lindor, 2 hits, 2 RBIs. That's to put up 7 runs and 10 hits. Plenty of support for Scherzer, who has turned in 5 solid innings and looks like he'll get a 6th because there's nobody up in the Mets bullpen as they come to bat in the top of the 6th. Now, did that pretzel have salt on it?
Mustard.
Mustard.
Yeah.
Philadelphia style.
Yes. Are you a mustard guy or salt?
Well, I like both.
Okay, me too.
Not a ton of salt, but some salt, and mustard on pretzels is fabulous. I have to tell you, I never liked mustard on pretzels. I never even thought about it until the first time I went to Philadelphia, where it was a thing. And now it's apparently a thing in a lot of places.
Yes. At one of the places in Port St. Lucie when we're there in spring training, my family loved this one place where they have pretzels. They have mustard, but they also have cheese that you dip like a fondue kind of cheese.
Kind of like a warm cheese whip.
Yes.
Driven out to right by Canha, retreating as Capel to get there. 1 out.
It's like the 10th fly ball hit to right field between both teams.
Well, it was kind of a black hole yesterday, so they're trying it. It's not working as well today. Capel and Naquin have both been competent in battling the sun and catching the fly balls. Here's Lindor, who banged one off the fence in left center to drive in 2 his last time up. He's driven in 2. He's scored 2. He's 2 for 3. He's got an 11-game hitting streak going. 102 runs batted in for the year. Facing the lefty Sam Selman, who comes up and in. Ball and a strike. They're in the 8th now in Philadelphia. Phillies 6, Braves 5. David Robertson on in relief for the Phillies. Braves playing again today without Ronald Acuna, who has missed that entire series. That skimmed on the ground. Nice play, Garcia from his knees, and he got him at first. Nicely done by the young first baseman Garcia to retire Lindor 2 out.
Boy, that looked like that was ticketed to be a double down the line. But the fine play by Garcia. Ranges far to his left. That had a lot of spin on it. He was able to snare it and then make the proper throw to Selman. Good job by the pitcher Selman getting over there. Lindor was at full tilt down the first base line.
So now Alonso, who hit one 451 feet. An historic home run for him in the 4th. His longest home run of the season, and the one that got him the Mets single season RBI record. Pete's 2 for 3 today. Pops this one up to shallow right. Tough play. Garcia going out. Coming on Capel, and it lands for a base hit. Ball comes loose. Alonso heads to second. Capel's throw is offline. Good hustle by Alonso, and he winds up at second base. So Alonso dumps one into right, and then when Capel couldn't come up with it cleanly, he'll take second base on the error.
Well, it's going to be an impossible play for Garcia, but it turns into a double because they knocked into each other. Good read by Pete. Once he sees, he proceeds on to second base.
They're going to score that a single and an E9. Second outfield error, allowing a Met to advance in this game.
I don't know if that's an error. I mean, it was run into by his own guy.
I think that might get changed.
Yeah.
So a 3-hit game for Alonso. And now McNeil, who's over 2 and a walk today. And Jeff loops one to center. In comes Brown, and he makes the catch to retire the side. We head for the bottom of the 6th in Oakland. Mets and Scherzer leading 7-1. Francisco one, we're in Oakland, so we're going to show you the Bay Bridge that at least, you know, connects the two. With Treasure Island in the middle.
That's right.
Is there any treasure on Treasure Island?
The treasure before was kind of a military base, so.
Max Scherzer still out there for the 6th inning. Vimael Machin has been up twice and struck out both times on his 29th birthday. Looking in the first, swinging in the third. Changeup fouled off, and it's 1-1. Scherzer gave up the leadoff home run to Seth Brown in the 4th after he was handed a 7-0 lead. That's all he's allowed over 5 innings. 11 innings off the injured list, only 1 run allowed. And he runs one inside to Machin, 2-1. Sean Murphy, Seth Brown to follow. 2, 3, and 4 in the order against Scherzer. His next assignment will be next weekend against the Braves. Well, the curveball bends in for a strike, and it's 2-2. Scherzer's thrown a lot of curveballs against the Brewers. 15% curveballs, which was his season high. Had a great feel for it in that game. And it comes back with a fastball fouled away.
You know, we've seen a real transformation from Washington to being in the Mets uniform in this age 37 season for Scherzer. Remember when we first saw him, he would stalk the mound. He was trying to throw every pitch through the catcher. Just the opposite now.
Machin lifts one out to right center. Back in the gap goes Naquin, and he'll get there. 1 out. So the Braves have the bases loaded with 2 out in the top of the 8th against David Robertson, down 6-5. Little drama there. That's trying to remove the drama in this one, leading 7-1. I mentioned this the other day, but it bears repeating. The Mets' magic number is 9. They lead by a game and a half, 1 in the loss column. But they also have the advantage in the season series against the Braves. So all they have to do is win 1 game in that series to clinch the season series against Atlanta, and that would give them the tiebreaker in case the teams finish even.
Yeah, no game 163s this year.
Strike to Murphy, and it's 0-2. Mets are 9-7, so with 3 left to play, if they win 1 of those 3 in Atlanta, then they would have the tiebreaker. 0-2 coming to Murphy, and he reaches for the slider and fouls it off. Good job by Ruff not giving up on that ball. I mean, that's a ball that's 40 rows back in the stands at Citi Field. Here, Ruff figured maybe there's a shot.
Well, they have the, I think it's called the Bay Bridge Series, right? That they have at the end of spring training every year.
Well, they play during the regular season, too.
So when he was with the Giants.
Yeah, so he's played more games here than most of the Mets. curveball misses inside. 2-2 to 1-2 to Murphy. And the Braves just tied it up on a wild pitch by Robertson in the top of the 8th. 6-6. How about that? And Murphy goes down on strikes, and Scherzer has the second out in the 6th. Strikeout number 6 for Max, who's now retired 6 in a row. Daniel Vogelbach, who has not played in this series with all the lefties, but he still has his sense of humor.
He always has that.
So now Seth Brown, who has the only marker against Max today, takes a curveball outside for ball 1. This figures to be Scherzer's last inning. Oh, we've got Ricky,
Raleigh Fingers,
and Dennis Eckersley.
You know it's Eck with the moss.
I mean, is that like the ones in Arizona?
Well, I guess yes, exactly. You're right. Eck would be disappointed with the hair. His hair is usually much more perfect than that.
Well, perfect in a certain explicitly messy way.
Yes. Oh, what a great teammate he was.
Curveball outside to Brown. It's 3-1.
If I were having a struggle in a game here, Gary, Dennis Eckersley would always watch the game on TV through the 7th inning. So if you're having trouble, you could go up there and he would be honest and say, hey, what do you see up there? And then he'd give you a little school report. Sometimes you didn't want to hear it, but he was always right.
It's what the Met starters have been doing for each other all year. Braves got just that one run in the top of the 8th, so they go to the bottom of the 8th in Philly, tied 6-6. (3-2) coming to Brown, and it's pulled foul. Well, Max is about to throw his 90th pitch. He threw just 68 in his first start off the injured list. So a nice progression for Scherzer, who should be able to cut fully loose in his next start. (3-2) coming, and Brown fouls another one.
It's going to be interesting with all the pitchers getting their proper rest or more that have pitched here this weekend. And of course, it depends on the weather in Atlanta. But who's going to pitch game 1, 2, or 3?
They can go with any of the 3 of them. Scherzer would be on normal rest. DeGrom would be on 1 extra day. Swing and a miss. And Brown is down on strikes, and Scherzer is through 6 innings with 7 strikeouts. Strong outing for Scherzer in a 7-1 Met lead. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Corner Bistro. Order your game time favorites exclusively through DoorDash. By Celino Law. Car crash, call Celino 800-555-5555. And by your local GMC dealers. We go to the 7th inning. Jared Koenig is on to pitch, rookie left-hander, making his 9th appearance.
From locally, Jonah Bride at third base, number 77, takes over for Machine.
Eduardo Escobar 3 for 3 today. 2 hits from the right side, 1 from the left side.
Koenig, that's his numbers. Grew up close to here in Aptos, California.
Aptos?
Aptos.
Aptos.
Yeah. It's right next to Santa Cruz. I think just south of Santa Cruz.
Well, Santa Cruz just flows off your tongue. Aptos.
Aptos, I think.
Aptos.
Yeah. I know it because I used to take my dogs there. You can have the dogs on the beach in Aptos. There's Ottavino up for the Mets.
Escobar spits on a breaking ball, and it's 2-2. Darren Ruff on deck, then Tyler Naquin for the Mets. Escobar fights one off. Your Land Rover probables for the series with the Marlins starting Tuesday night. Carlos Carrasco against Pablo Lopez on Tuesday night. Taijuan Walker and Jesus Luzardo Wednesday night. Swing and a miss. Back foot slider by Koenig, and Escobar's retired for the first time today.
Just tell me that Walker and Carrasco went home yesterday?
Yesterday.
Oh, wow.
Along with Starling Marte. They all went home together.
It's nice.
That leaves that much more room on the charter.
Oh, yeah.
Darren Ruff takes the cutter inside, ball one.
17A.
I'm afraid that's taken.
Oh, it is? There's a few more taken.
Ruff is 0 for 2 and a walk. And that's on the inside corner, of strike, 1-1. That's with 7 runs and 11 hits today. Big days for Lindor and Escobar, and especially for Alonso. Pete with 3 hits, including his 39th home run, and putting his name in the Mets record book on yet another line. How many lines do you think he'll own by the time he's done?
All of them. All of them.
Probably a fairly good chance of that. Let me mention this again because I kind of said it in passing before. There are only 2 players now who are active who own their teams, who own a team's home run record and RBI record for a single season. Giancarlo Stanton owns the Marlins home run and RBI records, and Pete now owns the Mets home run and RBI records.
I'm glad you repeated that. That's amazing.
That's pretty phenomenal,
yeah,
right?
Phenomenal.
Ruff strikes out for the second out, so back-to-back strikeouts for Koenig.
I think the only one he might not get is triples.
What's amazing about Alonso, when you look at the sluggers around the game and look at their batting averages, and you see a lot of 220s and a lot of 230s, and here's Pete, who's right up around 270. He's become a really good hitter in an era where most sluggers are selling out for power. He has not.
He won't give in. I think there's been a lot of people that said he wouldn't be a good defensive player. He's made himself into a good defensive player. People said, hey, he's not going to hit for a high average. Really? Well, let's see.
Backhanded by Diaz. Naquin retired. Strong inning for Koenig. Gets the Mets 1-2-3. Stretch time in Oakland. We got some baseball going around the corner. Baseball's everywhere. Alonso hits one deep to left field. Forget that. That is way out of here. Pete Alonso, number 39, and he's now the all-time single-season Mets RBI leader. 125 runs batted in, breaking the record held by Mike Piazza and David Wright. That was the play of the game, brought to you by Coors Light. Adam Ottavino on to pitch the bottom of the 7th, facing Dermis Garcia with the Mets up 7-1, and his first slider is outside. Well, Pete's been able to cool his heels between at bats. A DH day for him, and it's been a big one. 3 hits, including that record-setting home run. Garcia has struck out and flied out 0 for 2, and he pops one up in foul ground. Ruff's going to give it a run, but that's going to go out of play. Ottavino pitching a second straight day.
Yeah, he was a little off yesterday with his control, so he'll try to right that here on back-to-back outings. Tech, what a year.
Well, after Jacob deGrom struggled yesterday, Max Scherzer set things right with the world. 6 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts, a home run, 91 pitches for Max in his second start back off the injured list. So he's worked 12 innings. Allowed 1 run and 4 hits in his first 2 starts back. And with that, Max lowered his ERA to 2.13. Now, he's not going to have enough innings this year to qualify for the ERA title, but he does have this. No Mets pitcher his age or older has ever had this low an ERA in a season. R.A. Dickey in his age 37 season had a 2.73 ERA the year he won the Cy Young in 2012. Max is at 2.13. And he turned 38 this year. Good slider by Ottavino to strike out Garcia, and that's the first out in the home 7th. I mean, he's going to set that mark by a long stretch with only probably one start left in the season.
And if the Mets hold on here, he will go to 201 wins and 101 losses. 100 games over 500. That is remarkable.
There's Connor Capel, who's 1 for 2 today. Capel's had a nice series. 5 for 10 in the 3 games, including a triple and a home run. They're in the 9th now in Philadelphia. Braves and Phillies tied 6-6. Boy, there's a lot of drama there. Game of utmost importance to both teams. Phillies trying to take advantage of the Brewers' loss today and to move 2.5 games up on Milwaukee for that last postseason berth. While the Braves are trying to keep pace with the Mets and stay a game and a half behind in the division race. Sat through a 2-hour-plus rain delay to get there. 1-1 to Capel, and he gets under one, pops it up behind first base. Ruff shading his eyes, stays with it nicely. 2 out. Phillies today are playing their last home game. They will have their last 10 games of the season on the road.
Whoa. So the Mets have off tomorrow. The Braves and Phillies are playing both?
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
Braves have the Nationals tomorrow. Here's Langoliers, who's doubled and grounded into a double play, 1 for 2.
Those drums keep beating.
Well, we said it on Friday night when the Mets had themselves a lopsided victory. It's hard to think of a place where there's as much fan enthusiasm for a team that is this beleaguered in the standings. I mean, I guess you could make the case for Wrigley Field even when the Cubs aren't good, but it's not like this. You know, the drums and the people dancing and singing, and there's a lot of demonstrative fandom here in Oakland, even for a team that's 40 games under 500. 1-2 coming. And Langoliers takes outside 2-2.
The fans here are like, I'm coming to the game and I'm having a great time, and it doesn't really matter what happens in the game. If they win, then that's fantastic, but if they don't, it's not going to diminish what kind of day I have.
Well, it helps that it's sunny.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Well, yeah.
Two coming, and he struck him out with a slider. Strong inning for Ottavino. 1-2-3 with a couple of strikeouts. On we go to the 8th in Oakland in the rubber game of the series. 7-1 New York. 13 years here in Oakland. Earlier this year he was inducted into the A's Hall of Fame, and he received his green jacket, emblematic of that status, on Friday night. Made a nice speech to the crowd.
He was an incredibly popular player here. Not only Gold Gloves, but Silver Slugger Award.
Congratulations to Eric. That's come to bat in the 8th, and Tomas Nido banks one up the middle for a base hit. So Nido, who had been 0 for his last 10, puts an end to that with a leadoff hit in the 8th inning.
Now batting, number 9, Brandon Nimmo.
Those of the career numbers for Eric Chavez. 260 home runs, 6 Gold Glove awards. He was a terrific player. And he has had a very positive impact on this Mets offense in his first year as hitting coach here.
The way players speak about Nolan Arenado now is how players used to speak about Chavez defensively.
State of the art.
Yep.
There's Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo's 1 for 3 and a walk. He scored 2 runs. Braves did not score in the top of the 9th, so the Phillies are coming up in the bottom of the 9th, tied with the Braves 6-6. They'll have Matt Vierling, Garrett Stubbs, and Kyle Schwarber due up. That's punched the other way. A base hit for Nimmo. Nido to second. He'll pull in there. Nimmo on base for the 3rd time. His 2nd hit of the day. And the Mets have the first 2 men on in the 8th.
Number 19, Mark Canha.
A laugh by Brandon. Got jammed pretty hard here. Fastball is supposed to be away. Ends up being inside. And he just saws that one off the left field.
So the Mets with a chance to build on this 7-1 lead. Drew Smith is up in the Mets bullpen. Looks like he'll get the 8th, and then Edwin Diaz, I'm fairly certain, is going to pitch the 9th. With all the lack of work that he's had lately, and the off day coming up tomorrow. Canha's 1 for 4 today, and he pulls one through the hole. That's a base hit. Nido will move up 1 base, so 3 straight singles for the Mets to start the 8th. Canha's 2nd hit of the day, and the bases are loaded with nobody out.
Number 12, Francisco Lindor.
Breaking ball. Koenig hit on the line to left field, and it's base to base now with the 6-run lead for the Mets.
So now Lindor, who already has a single and a double. He's driven in 2. He's scored 2 today. Robbed of a hit his last time up on a fine play by Dermis Garcia, the first baseman. The A's are going to bring the infield in.
He's got a grand slam on this trip as well, right?
That go-ahead grand slam in Milwaukee. Nido at 3rd, Nimmo at 2nd, Canha at 1st with nobody out. And Lindor goes after a first pitch changeup, 0-1. Kenley Jansen is in for the Braves in the bottom of the 9th. Tie game on the road. Going to the closer. Raisel Iglesias already pitched in that game for Atlanta. That's hit hard and off the glove of the second baseman Diaz, who didn't realize he didn't have it. And Nido comes in to score. Diaz thought that ball was in his glove, but it trickled off on the short hop. And Lindor is aboard. Nido scores to make it 8-1. And they're going to score that a base hit for Lindor, his 3rd hit of the day.
Well, that ball was hit right on the nose. Kind of startled Diaz. He gets some leather on it on the short hop. Thought he had picked it.
He's getting set to throw home.
That'll be the phantom play.
So now Alonso, who's hit 2 grand slams this year, already has a 2-run homer today. Infield stays in. And Pete takes a breaking ball at his feet for ball 1. Pete is 3 for 4 today, including that monstrous home run he hit in the 4th, his 39th of the year. 125 RBIs and counting. Bases loaded, nobody out. Now that's too high, and it's 2-0. So Koenig, after a 1-2-3 7th, has found nothing but trouble here in the 8th.
And no one warming up in the bullpen. It's his.
There's a strike. It can be a hard time of year, even with expanded rosters in September. You've got 14 pitchers, but the A's starters have gone 4 2/3, 5 and 3 2/3 in this series, so they've had to use a ton of bullpen. And Pete smacks one the other way. That's deep. Back goes Capel to the warning track at the wall. It's off the fence, bouncing away. Nimmo is in. Here comes Canha. Lindor right behind him. All 3 will score. A 5 RBI day for Pete Alonso as he delivers a bases-clearing double. 11-1 New York. So on the day he has set the Mets RBI record, he goes about obliterating it. 128 runs batted in.
Well, Gary, we were talking about how he's made himself a complete hitter. So after hitting a 451-foot home run to left center, he has the ability to hit a ball on the line to right field off that fence to score 3. That's hitting.
4 hits, a double, a homer, 5 RBIs for Alonso. And the Mets have blown this game completely ajar.
Well, you'll see the runners here. Canha didn't really leave second base. In fact, he went back. So that's why Lindor was on his heels. And they both scored within 20 feet of each other. Imagine if Pete enjoyed DHing.
I think he enjoys it more now. Had a lot of success DHing early in the season, which warmed him to the idea just a tad. And it made Buck Showalter's life a little bit easier, convincing him to DH when he needed the rest. And he has had himself a huge day as the designated hitter today. 2-0 to McNeil, who's 0 for 3 and a walk, and he fouls one. Where is the top end for Alonso? 39 homers now, 128 runs batted in, a height that no Met had ever reached before. McNeil gets him off the fists of foul ball. 2-2.
I mentioned it before. You know, he'd be the first Met to have 2 40 home run seasons with his next home run. That's the next goal.
I mean, he might never hit 53 again.
That's all right.
But he might.
Yeah, he could.
And the curveball in the dirt. 3-2 to McNeil. It's involved in yet another lopsided game. And Pete has done his best to make it lopsided. Grounded to short. Clement stays back on it and flings it not in time. Well, we mentioned that Clement has not played a lot of shortstop in the big leagues, and that's a ball you got to charge. McNeil running it out, and he's got his first hit of the day.
Well, the easy part for me would be to criticize Clement, because you can't play a ball back like this. But I'm going to choose the other way, and that is to say McNeil in an 11-1 game. I know he loves his hits. He loves his hits. But still, hustling. 10-run lead. I like it.
Yeah, Jeff was 0 for 3. He's going to be running hard.
But I still like it. You guys still got to do it.
Totally right.
Right?
17 hits now for the Mets, and still nobody out in this 8th inning. Already scored 4 runs in the inning. Runners at first and third, and still nobody up behind Koenig in the bullpen. And now Escobar is 3 for 4 today and has driven in 2 runs. Well, the A's had their day yesterday. They beat up on DeGrom. They had 14 hits. They hit everybody out of the bullpen. They played great defense all day. That's the way baseball works sometimes. Even the worst teams have great days. But the Mets have restored order today.
You know, we use it as a passing phrase. Any team can beat any other team any day. It's true, though. That's what's great about the game.
Chopper hit near the bag at second. Diaz steps and throws. They get the double play as another run scores. 4-4-3 double play. Alonso comes home with the 5th run of the inning to make it 12-1. that allows Koenig at least to breathe a little bit.
It's got to be a lonely feeling when you're out there as a reliever and there's no one warming up, and you're going to take it for the team.
Hopper to Clement. This time he's got plenty of time with Ruff running, and he throws him out to end the inning. But the Mets put up a 5 spot. Alonso driving in 3 of them with a double. It's 12-1 Mets in the 8th. Seth Brown, a home run, his second of the series. That's all that Max Scherzer gave up over 6 innings. Alcatraz making its first appearance in the weekend series.
What was Buck talking about, that some of the players went on a nighttime visit to Alcatraz?
Like a party boat, yeah, Alcatraz. And why not? I mean, if you're going to visit, you might as well visit in the dark times.
Well, I already visited a jail. I don't want to visit another one.
Not any time recently, though.
No, not recently.
Changes for the Mets. Terrence Gore comes in to play center field. Luis Guillorme will play short. And Drew Smith is on to pitch as we go to the bottom of the 8th. And Jordan Diaz swings and misses at a slider, 0-1.
Drew's 3rd appearance since coming back. His second one was on Friday night.
Diaz is 0 for 2. And he takes fastball in the corner for a strike, and it's 0-2. Kenley Jansen got out of a little bit of trouble in the bottom of the 9th. Braves and Phillies have gone to the 10th, tied 6-6.
Phillies are going to use their new reliever, Zach Eflin, who's now in the bullpen.
Done a nice job for them. Coming back from knee issues, right?
He's had knee issues his entire career.
Jansen was judicious. He got the first 2 hitters, then he pitched very carefully to Schwarber and walked him. Phillies brought in a pinch runner who stole second, but then Jansen was able to get through it. That's lined the other way by Diaz, and that's going to fall in for a base hit. So 10 straight A's had been retired. Jordan Diaz breaks that streak with a leadoff single against Drew Smith in the 8th.
Had a few 0-2 hits by the Mets in this game. Now an 0-2 hit by Diaz off Smith, fastball away. Told you before, this youngster, 290 hitter in the minor leagues.
Now Ernie Clement in his first game for the A's has gone 0 for 2, flied out and lined out. And Clement pops one up into shallow center. Gore coming on hard, and Gore diving, and he makes the catch. Terrence Gore doesn't play anything but pinch runner very often, put in center field. First time we've seen him there, we've seen a little bit in the left, and he makes a nice play.
He's the only center fielder on either of these rosters that could have made that catch because of his speed. Kind of misjudged it at first and then got on his horse.
You know, they talk about outfielders outrunning the ball going back. He outran the ball coming in.
He did. Probably saying to himself, well, I mean, right off the bat.
It's a nice test for Gore, you know, because if you're going to have him on the roster in postseason, you want to know what you can use him for in an emergency other than pinch running. And if you can play center field, well, that's just one more piece of information that goes into the hopper. Tony Kemp takes a slider for a strike.
I've seen Terrence Gore play a long time, but I have not seen him play the outfield enough to know what kind of outfielder he is.
He had the 1 year in Kansas City he played some, but it was mostly in left field, not very much in center. And takes a changeup out of the strike zone, 2-1.
This is a good player for a team that's going to the postseason. He'd be a good player to have on your bench. Versatile.
Long stretch with the Astros. He lifts this one out to left, and Canna coming on. Puts it away, 2 out. So Drew Smith, after the leadoff hit, gets a couple of fly ball outs.
75, that was Barry Zito's number, wasn't it?
It was. Pitched with great distinction for the A's.
Zito, Mulder, T-Hud. Boy, they were great.
That trio, they led the A's to a lot of wins.
somehow didn't make it into Moneyball, the Moneyball movie. But
Or neither did Miguel Tejada, by the way.
yeah, yeah, he
Oh,
was,
they're only their 4 best players. Conveniently cast aside. I mean,
it's poetic license, Gary.
it wasn't part of the book, but it was part of the movie, and what lost me was the portrayal of Art Howe.
Yeah.
He was the nicest human being on earth, a very, very competent person, and he was portrayed as a doofus, and it was completely wrong. I don't know why they felt that was necessary. Escobar out at second, and there's the 3rd out of the inning. Some gorgeous flowers. Look how nice that is. Everybody says this place is a dump.
It's not. It's beautiful.
Third baseman on those great A's teams of the 1970s asked if it was difficult leaving the A's. He said, "Was it difficult leaving the Titanic?" You can take that any way you want. They battled those swinging A's.
They had so much drama, though.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
They battled each other.
Well, battling the owner as well.
Well, also the manager lost his job after winning 2 straight World Series. Tyler Naquin leads off and hooks one down the right field line for a base hit. Naquin's 2nd hit of the day, and he'll get 2 bases out of this. As Capel's throw is cut off. So Tyler Naquin swinging to the first pitch he sees from Jared Koenig in the top of the 9th. Leads off with the double, the Mets' 18th hit of the game.
2 hits on the afternoon for Naquin, both off left-handers.
Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, Zach Eflin retired 3 straight hitters with the free runner at second base. And the Phillies come up in the bottom of the 10th with a chance to win it with the free runner of their own and Bryce Harper due to lead off the inning. So the Mets hoping for some help there. They have certainly helped themselves today. Tomas Nido was 1 for 4, singled and scored in the 8th and takes inside. Well, I want to tell you, vis-a-vis what we said going to break the last inning when we showed those beautiful flowers. When we came to Oakland, we were told that we should be wary of the fact that in the press box, in our broadcast booth,
Yes.
sometimes there was wildlife, in
What?
particular possums, that sometimes made themselves known in the visiting broadcast booth. Now, we have a banner up behind us, and behind the banner there are possum traps. Now, I don't know whether any possums have been trapped in the booth, but I do know that we have not seen evidence of a single possum.
Why was I not told about this till the 9th inning of Game 3?
Because we were afraid you wouldn't show up.
Okay.
I mean, the stadium is old. It has not been particularly well kept. But as you can tell from the fans and their enthusiasm, there's a lot of wildlife here.
That's right.
So all I'm saying is we're in the last inning and we're almost out of town with no possums. Nido drives one to center field, chasing Brown back. Brown can't get there. It's off the base of the wall. Naquin was holding up. He'll go to third and stop there. So back-to-back doubles for Naquin and Nido to start the 9th. Nido's 2nd hit of the day and the Mets' 19th.
Well, yeah, he was on an 0 for 10 slide, got a base hit in his last at-bat, and jumps all over this fastball up and beat Brown to center field. Nido hot again. Tough read here for Naquin. You know, Brown's made some good catches in this series. And really, you're going base to base now anyway with the score the way it is.
But if you're Nido, you
love to have
expect to
a
get an RBI.
Yeah, well.
So 2nd and 3rd, and now Guillorme bats for the first time. Good to see Louis out there. He got whacked by a pitch yesterday. It was almost like he was going to try to catch it, and then it hit him on his right arm. And by the time the game was over, he had a big welt. It was bothering him. He finally came out in the 7th inning.
Yeah, Buck said he was in a great deal of pain while he was out there playing, trying to play through it. So it was such a bad breaking ball that I think part of him wanted to catch it. And yet he caught it on his forearm.
Well, we know he can catch bats, but maybe not a 80-mile-an-hour slider. 2-1 to Luis. So they intentionally walked Harper to start the bottom of the 10th. So it's first and second, nobody out, and Alec Bohm up trying to win it for the Phillies against Jackson Stevens. So the Braves have basically used up all of their primary relievers. They've also had some short starts in that series. And today, with the rain delay in the 5th, that meant Morton had to come out, although he wasn't pitching very well anyway. And there's a strike, 3-2. Well, today is our last picks game of the season. We want to thank Fred King, who has taken over some big shoes, filling the role that the retired Steve Oldbaum worked in for years as our coordinator at picks. Ground ball over the mound. That's going to bring a run in as Clement throws to first. Naquin comes home and make it 13-1. So give Guillorme an RBI. Nito goes to third. So thanks to Fred and thanks to everybody at Pix 11 for making this the seamless production that it is for our Pix 11 games.
It's the truth.
We just have to change our shirts.
But just got to make sure you bring both shirts.
Well, it's a small consideration, but you know, I will say this: Steve, before he left, made sure that the most important aspect of the relationship was buttoned up. After years of trying to get the right size shirts, Steve Gelbs and I finally got Pix 11 shirts that fit correctly. We were overjoyed.
It took them a while for them to find the boys medium for you two. You guys are so thin.
I know it doesn't affect you and Keith, but for us,
you didn't want to be swimming in your polo.
We pencil necks need you know, a certain amount of consideration too. Arcana has 2 hits today. Well, Jackson Stevens struck out Alec Bohm for the first out of the bottom of the 10th in Philly, and now Gene Segura batting. Canna is hit by another pitch. Can you believe that?
This is unbelievable.
26, which is 1 shy of his total from last year with the A's.
Number 4 turns 4.
It's just a breaking ball. It's supposed to be a back foot breaking ball, and he took it literally. Did not move that back foot, and it hits him right in the shoe. Oh, it hit him right in the shin of the protective armor he has there on the front foot.
It's 110 now for the Mets. Canna leading the world since last season. And Terrence Gore now up for the first time. Batting with runners at the corners. Segura, by the way, hit into a fielder's choice. And now Brandon Marsh is batting with 2 out and 2 on for the Phillies. And Gore pops one up. Infield fly rule will be invoked. Batter is out. And it's dropped. It's not infield fly rule because it wasn't first and second, and everybody's safe. My mistake. It was first and third, so no infield fly, and Garcia dropped it. And by the time he picked it up, Canna had gotten to second, and Gore was at first. Holding at third is Nito. It's an error on Garcia.
Well, we've seen all series long. Well, not all series long. The last 2 days had a lot of trouble with the ball up in the air, and the umpire's going to get together. Did they call an infield fly as well?
It can't be.
I know it can't be, but they might have called it.
Right.
They might have made a mistake.
Infield fly rule can only be called if it's first and second or bases loaded and less than 2 out, and it was runners at first and third. And now what do they call it? Oh, I think it was. They think they're calling interference on
Canna.
On Canna.
Okay.
I believe that's what they're calling it. That Canna interfered with Garcia on his approach to the ball. That's what they're calling. So they're calling Canha out, or they're calling Gore out. Gore's coming off the field.
I think it's.
Yeah, I think Canha was in Garcia's way. That's what they called. Yeah,
so they called the batter out.
They're switching the runners. Yeah, Canha is out. They pulled the wrong runner off. Canha is out for interference, and Gore takes over at first base.
As a runner, you have to get out of the way of the fielder, not the other way around. So Canha can't really see it either, so he's trying to look at it. He wasn't trying to get in the way, but he was.
So it goes as 3 unassisted, the play on Canha on an interference call.
It's a good job by Jim Wolf, who made the call right away.
Yep. So now 2 out, first and third. And here's Mark Vientos batting for Pete Alonso in the DH spot. So after a huge day, Alonso takes the rest of the day off. 4 hits, 5 RBIs for Pete. And Vientos slices one down the right field line, and that'll go untouched.
How many chances you get to have a 5-hit game, though? Whew.
Vientos hit his first big league home run last night. Well, the Phillies did not score in the bottom of the 10th. And so they go on to the 11th, still tied 6-6. Now it's Vientos who has to get out of the way. I've got a question.
Yes.
So Canha's out for interference.
Yeah.
Gore reaches. Is it still an error on Garcia, or no? Or is it just a fielder's choice?
Fielder's choice.
Yeah. On the interference play that creates a fielder's choice, takes away the error, because the error was caused by the interference.
Yeah.
I guess that's what the ruling is, right?
Yeah, the play is like literally dead, you know, once the interference happens.
I don't think I've ever seen that one before.
Yeah.
Quite like that. Well, Max Scherzer was terrific today. Second start off the injured list. Wasn't perfect today, but he was pretty close. Got a big lead early and gave up just the Seth Brown home run over 6 innings. Vientos hits one on the ground. It's handled by Diaz. Off the bat comes Garcia to make the tag, and that retires the side. We go to the bottom of the 9th. 13-1 New York. There's your line score, brought to you by Optimum. Mets got the lead in the second, and they've never given it back. Big day for Pete Alonso with 4 hits and 5 runs batted in. Weeknights at 10 here on Pix 11. Stay up to date with everything going on in your neighborhood on the Pix 11 News at 10 right here on New York's very own. Well, we expected to see Edwin Diaz in the 9th, but you know, there have been times this year in these lopsided games where Buck has asked Diaz if he wants to pitch, and he has declined, and it might be that that's the case here because it's Lugo pitching the bottom of the 9th.
Well, Lugo gets the call.
Buck had said before the game that he was almost certain Diaz was going to get in the game today because he's been so lightly worked. But the same is true with Lugo. Lugo hasn't pitched in a game since the first game of the road trip in Milwaukee when he worked a scoreless inning. But I'll repeat what I said earlier about Diaz. In the last 24 days, he's been in 4 games for 4 2/3 innings.
You know, there must be a feeling from Edwin that without the adrenaline, kind of a waste of time. But it's always important, I think, to be out there on the mound. I would recommend that you don't go that many days without throwing, personally.
You know, I know a lot of closers feel the same way about pitching in non-save situations, particularly in lopsided games like this. But I guess the question is, what does the impact wind up being on the other end? If you've pitched so little, and he's going to get up now and start to do some throwing in the bullpen. So I think this is what Edwin would prefer. He's going to throw in the bullpen maybe rather than come in the game.
It's just it's hard to get the work you want in the bullpen because getting on the mound, the hitters that in the box, that replicating all of that stuff I think is important. But listen, he's having an historic year, so.
Or maybe,
who am I to judge?
Or maybe the plan is to have Lugo get 2 outs here and bring in Diaz to get the last one.
So you're assured that he won't have a 30-pitch inning?
Yeah,
or
so
like that?
so that they both get the work that they need, having both been so lightly used on this road trip.
Well, Lugo better not get 2 quick outs then.
Well, Ronald Acuna, who didn't start the game, just drove in the go-ahead run for the Braves in the 11th. And now Murphy is hit by the pitch, and I don't know whether there was any intent at all, but after all the Mets who have been plunked in this series, Murphy is the first Oakland Athletic to get hit. Best hitter, lopsided game, maybe a little bit of a message.
You know, the only person that knows that is Seth Lugo, but I will say, you know, how many times the Mets have been hit, there hasn't been a lot of retaliation, and there should be more.
Here's Seth Brown, who homered for the first Oakland run, and to date their only run. So Acuna didn't start. He came up as a pinch hitter in the 9th, and they intentionally walked him, so that was his second plate appearance. Came up with a runner at 3rd and 1 out and drove in the go-ahead run against Andrew Bellotti. So it's 7-6 Atlanta. Seth Brown swings and misses at the curveball, and it's 0-2. And that's on the inside corner, and Brown is caught looking for the first out in the bottom of the 9th. So 1 out and 1 on.
It's crazy that our game is going to be done before theirs, right?
Well, we only started 3 hours later. Garcia's 0 for 3 today, struck out twice, and stops the swing on the curveball. Ball 1. Mets have put up 13 runs and 19 hits today. Huge day for Pete Alonso, as he set the Mets single season RBI record. Another terrific start from Max Scherzer after DeGrom bobbled it yesterday. And the Mets will go home with a lopsided win today. Slider off the plate from Lugo, 2-1. Diaz is watching the game as though he is timing himself to be ready to get the 3rd out. I don't know if he intends to do that or not. We'll see. But he's still not throwing full intensity.
Yeah, he's not throwing 100%. Looks more like about 75%, 80%.
But, you know, we've seen him before. When he needs to get ready in a hurry, he throws 6 hard pitches and is ready to go. So I'm not sure whether it's his intention to come into this game or not, or if it's Buck's intention to bring him in. 2-2 to Garcia, and the curveball misses. 3-2. Connor Capel is the on-deck batter. Murphy at first with 1 out. And Garcia hits one toward the hole. That'll go through for a base hit. So the A's have their 6th hit of the day. And now 2 aboard for Capel. Diaz talking to Craig Bjornson, the bullpen coach, to try and figure out what's going on there. Here's Capel. And he takes a fastball for a strike. Capel's 1 for 3 at a base hit back in the 4th. And the drums keep drumming. I mean, I'm impressed.
Yeah, right?
I have to say, you know, I remember the last time the Mets were here, and I think it was Kevin and Keith who did the series. That was 8 years ago. And I remember watching on TV and saying, wow, that's pretty amazing what those fans do. And, you know, we've seen that replicated here in this series, despite the fact the A's are having a miserable season.
It's a little rote now, though.
They're very good at keeping the rhythm. I mean, we had the woman in the first game of the series who was a little more of the improv kind of drumming. And that's her with the colorful drum at the top left. Campbell takes the curveball outside, and it's 2-2.
Like maybe she was a percussionist for Dave Brubeck or something like that. Maybe.
She's the Keith Jarrett of drumming.
There you go.
2-2 coming, and Capel takes inside, full count. So it's not coming easily for Lugo. It's his second straight full count. Shea Langolier is the on-deck batter. It's a very short phone call from the dugout to the bullpen. You could probably yell down and be heard. Oh, fly ball, well hit to right center. Gore going back in the gap. That ball is out of here. A 3-run homer for Connor Capel, his second in 2 days. And that makes it 13-4 New York. So it's Lugo who has found discomfort pitching in the lopsided game. Boy, Capel's made quite an impression. 6 for 12 with 2 home runs and 7 RBIs in this series.
And numerous fine defensive plays. Young man that they got off the waiver line from St. Louis Cardinals has impressed quickly.
Now Langoliers is 1 for 3.
It seems like they're waiting for 2 outs to bring in Diaz, but the 2 outs will not come.
Too high, and it's 1-1. By the way, I don't know if I should mention this, but today in baseball, the Seattle Mariners had an 11-2 lead against Kansas City and lost. Just thought I'd throw that out there. A little flare near the bag at second. Tough play for Guillorme, but the beautiful hands to throw him out. Oh, Las Manos de Oro. Spinning baseball, and Guillorme somehow made the adjustment. Grabbed it with that bare hand and threw him out. What a play.
I mean, how does he do it? Any position you put him in, those golden hands, running away and still gets enough on the throw. What a play.
Well, Diaz is not coming in with the A's down to their final out, and a ground ball hit toward the middle, and that's a base hit for Jordan Diaz. His second hit in the last 2 innings. Let's go back to that play by Guillorme.
I mean, once he bare hands it, in one motion throws it off his right foot across his body, and it had to be accurate and with something on it. Remarkable.
Well, the Braves have just added a second run in the top of the 11th, and they lead 8-6. Michael Harris singling in a run. Fastball call strike to Ernie Clement. So that's a huge run in that game. Phillies will be down by at least 2 when they come to bat in the bottom of the 11th. Clement 0 for 3 in his A's debut, and he skies one to left center, and this should do it. Canha and Gore, and Canha makes the catch, and the ball game is over. Huge day for Pete Alonso as he sets the Mets single season RBI record. A 4-hit, 5 RBI day for Pete. Max Scherzer brilliant on the mound, and the Mets take the rubber game. They're now 18-4 in rubber games this year as they beat the A's 13-4.
Well, congratulations to Pete. What a day he had today. And also Eduardo Escobar with 3 hits, and Lindor, everyone on the hit parade.
Well, plenty of handshakes all the way around as the Mets complete their road trip, going 4-2, winning 2 out of 3 in Milwaukee, 2 out of 3 in Oakland, and for the moment they're 2 games up on the Braves in the NL East. 8 games left to play in the Mets season. Pete Alonso now with 128 RBIs. That is a new Mets club record. Game summary brought to you by Toyota. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Adapt Community Network. We change. By your Tri-State Volkswagen dealers. By AARP. Scan the QR code for your chance to win a Mets prize pack. And by Fresh Direct. The freshest and best groceries for the food obsessed delivered right to your door. Final score this afternoon, the Mets 13, the A's 4. We're back with you on SNY Tuesday night. Carlos Carrasco on the mound against Pablo Lopez as the Mets open their brief homestand against the Marlins. Coming up next on Pix 11, it's the Pix 11 News, and on SNY, it's PointsBet post-game live. Now for Ron Darling and our entire crew, I'm Gary Cohen in Oakland. We'll see you Tuesday night on SNY. Right now, it's time for the Pix 11 News. Enjoy.